Were you staring at us? Yang Mi noticed his gaze and asked. Li Sun thought for a moment and did not go into much detail. He simply said, the regional channel mentioned that countless people died during the extreme, cold night last night. Yang Mi nodded upon hearing this and asked no further questions. She picked up her bowl and stood up to wash it. With her back toward him, her voice drifted over from the kitchen. We cannot save others. We can only look out for ourselves. Li Sun watched her back. Her flight attendant uniform outlined a firm curve at the waist as she bent over. Her movements were calm and natural, as if she were performing a household chore she had done countless times. Tang Tang held her bowl, tilted her head back, and finished the last sip of soup. She set the bowl down and let out a satisfied burp, wiped her mouth with her sleeve, then blinked at Li Sun. Brother, what's our plan for today? Today we are. Li Sun had not finished speaking when the system voice cut him off. Ding, congratulations to Zhao Changjuan of Dragon Nation, successfully upgraded vehicle to level 3 achievement unlocked. One step ahead. Reward, autopilot blueprint. This announcement was like a depth charge bomb, instantly drawing the attention of survivors all across the globe. Countless messages flooded the world and regional channels in a single second. Li Sun's pupils shrank sharply. There were also achievement rewards? Fortunately, it was only autopilot, which I already possess. Otherwise, the loss would have been huge. Sun Ge, it looks like we need to upgrade our RV as soon as possible, Lu Tianxian reminded him. That is exactly what I was about to bring up. Li Sun nodded slightly with a serious tone. Natural disasters keep closing in. On the highway, survivors will grow more desperate to stay alive. The plunder and bloodshed born from human hearts are often far more dangerous than zombies and monsters. Now that we can compete for achievement rewards, we must speed up the RV upgrade process. So our top priority today is to collect various upgrade blueprints and supplies to fortify our RV. Tang Tang tilted her head in confusion. Aren't we going to hunt monsters anymore? Of course we will. Li Sun wore a faint smile. Don't forget the newly unlocked auto loot feature. We will drive to search for monsters, hunt them to gather resources, and look for blueprints at the same time. All right, we will follow your lead. Sun. Yang Mi walked over just in time and nodded in agreement after hearing his plan. They got straight to work. Li Sun drained the last of the noodle soup from his bowl, stood up, and headed for the driver's seat. He opened the control panel, poured a crate of prepared fuel into the tank, and filled it to capacity. Gripping the steering wheel, he turned off autopilot and switched to manual driving. The RV's engine rumbled with a deep, steady roar and slowly pulled onto the paved asphalt road, heading toward the endless highway ahead. After the RV drove out of the snow-covered zone, the sky had brightened somewhat compared to early morning. A crack split the cloud cover, letting a thin shaft of golden sunlight slant down onto the snow, casting a faint warm hue across the wilderness. Snow thinned along both sides of the highway, revealing the gray, brown asphalt underneath, showing they were leaving the core zone of the extreme cold. Seated in the passenger seat, Yang Mi kept her eyes fixed forward while maintaining her mental detection talent. A fan-shaped sensory field spread outward, continuously scanning the snowfields beside the road. About 10 minutes into the drive, she suddenly held up a hand as a signal. On the right, 200 meters ahead, there is movement behind the highway guardrail. Li Sun slowed down gradually and looked in the direction she indicated. The guardrail on the right side of the road bent slightly under heavy snow. Beyond it lay an abandoned parking lot. 3 wrecked private vehicles sat on the concrete ground, their roofs buried under thick snow. Between 2 of the cars, a figure moved slowly. Its skin was gray, white, its back hunched, and its movements stiff and sluggish as it shuffled little by little toward the highway. Mi Jia, is that a zombie? Tang Tang leaned out from the sofa, peering outside curiously. Yang Mi concentrated on her perception for a moment and slowly shook her head. Not a zombie. There is no rotting flesh, and its skeletal structure is intact. It should be a mutated monster. She paused briefly and went on. It is fairly large and slow-moving. Only one individual for now. Li Sun glanced at the vehicle radar. A faint light spot lit up in the upper, right corner of the screen. After its upgrade, the RV radar had a detection range of 150 meters, allowing them to spot the target early. He thought briefly and kept his foot on the gas. Circle around it. Do not ram it directly. Observe and check whether any companions are lurking behind it. The RV drove smoothly past the outer edge of the parking lot, roughly 20 meters away from the monster. Li Sun glanced sideways and got a clear look at the creature. It resembled a baboon, moving on all fours with a high, arched spine, its whole body covered in coarse gray, white fur. Right then, the system notification chimed. Monster, Snow Baboon level, 4 strength, 43 agility, 20 threat level, low evaluation. This is a level 4 baboon. Do not let it get close, or it can easily tear your body apart. Strength 43. Li Sun's eyelids twitched violently. With stats like that, its threat level was still listed as low? It seemed monsters in this world were far more powerful than he had imagined. Before Li Sun could recover from his shock, the snow baboon outside the window grew impatient. Roar dash. It let out a guttural roar and raised fist, like limbs as hard as dead branches, slamming them heavily against the RV door. Boom. The several-ton RV shook violently from the blow. Sun Gu. Frightened, Lu Tianxian huddled behind Li Sun. Li Sun gripped the steering wheel tightly and stared at the door. A fist-sized indentation caved inward on the formerly sturdy metal sheet. Warning. Vehicle is under attack. Assessment. Marginal defense. Not penetrated, yet vehicle integrity is taking damage. Brother Mijia, let me jump out and finish it off with one blow. Fearless, Tang Tang grabbed a large hammer beside her and made to yank the door open and charge out to fight the monster. Yang Mi's heart skipped a beat. She quickly grabbed her arm to stop her. Tang Tang, don't act rashly. Avoid close quarters combat if we can. Li Sun was also startled by her impulsive urge. He inwardly marveled at how bold the young girl was and spoke up. No need to get out. I will ram it with the RV and see if we can kill it. That's right, Tang Tang. Let's test it with the vehicle first, Lu Tianxian added gently. Tang Tang pressed her lips together in disappointment and pouted, reluctantly nodding. Fine. Wiping beads of cold sweat from his forehead, Li Sun pulled the handbrake and reversed 100 meters. He aligned the RV's front bumper squarely at the snow baboon. He pressed the accelerator all the way down. Die. Boom dash. The massive RV charged forward like an enraged rhinoceros. Its tires screeched against the frozen ground, sending ice chips and frozen dirt flying everywhere. The heavy front end crashed hard into the snow baboon. A shrill, piercing howl echoed across the snowfield. Black blood and mangled flesh splattered all over the windshield. Li Sun felt a violent jolt run through the vehicle, along with subtle undulations from the chassis as the wheels rolled over the creature's body. Li Sun did not stop right away. He kept driving forward roughly 30 meters before bringing the RV to a gradual halt. The tracks carved 2 deep grooves in the snow. The vehicle tilted slightly, then settled steady. It should be dead. Li Sun exhaled, his voice still taut. He released the steering wheel and flexed his stiff fingers. Check whether auto loot has activated. If it has, then it is dead, Yang Mi said from the passenger seat. Though still tense, she had regained her composure. Right, let me check. Li Sun glanced down at the panel. Beneath the auto loot function, a line popped up. Loot acquired. Please check the loot list. He opened the list. 10 rolls of toilet paper, 5 bottles of Coca-Cola vehicle upgrade blueprint. Our luck is incredible. Surprise lit up Li Sun's eyes as he exclaimed. The 3 women gathered around to look at the system panel. Another vehicle upgrade blueprint. Perfect. We can raise our RV to level 3. Lu Tianxian's features brightened with joy. Tang Tang spun around on the spot in excitement. Her nurse-style skirt flaring out with the motion. Yang Mi's gaze settled on the blueprint. Hey, Sun, use it right away. I am curious about what changes upgrading will bring to the RV. All right. Li Sun tapped the vehicle upgrade blueprint. The blueprint dissolved into pale golden light, hovered in mid-air for 2 seconds, then seeped into the RV's hull like water soaking into sand. The whole carriage began to tremble softly. It was not the violent shaking from the snow baboon's blow, but steady, uniform vibration, as if something living was restructuring its bones from within. A line appeared on Li Sun's panel. Vehicle upgrading. Estimated completion time, 3 minutes. 3 minutes was not long, yet all 4 fell silent as they waited. They listened to countless faint sounds coming from the engine compartment. Soft creaks as metal sheets expanded, the hiss of melting welds, and crisp clicks as mechanical components shifted and locked into place. Tang Tang stood in the middle of the living area, her curious eyes scanning every wall of the cabin. Lu Tianxian leaned against the kitchen counter and waited quietly. Yang Mi stayed in the passenger seat, glancing at the dark smears still streaked across the windshield. Boom dash. Blinding dark, gold light erupted, swallowing the entire RV in an instant. The brilliant glow made it hard for anyone to keep their eyes open. After a brief moment, the light dimmed and faded away. On the wilderness highway stood a black behemoth exuding brute force and cold steel menace. It was no longer the rickety civilian RV that had looked ready to fall apart at any moment. What stood before them now was an impregnable mobile steel war machine. Ding, congratulations, Li Sun of Dragon Nation. Your RV has been successfully upgraded. Vehicle, steel, armored RV level, 3 speed. 85 kilometers per hour fuel. 100 out of 100 defense. Reinforced steel plating resists all physical attacks below level 10 condition. Excellent features. Living area, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, newly added small storage room, roof anti-raid mount, newly added wet, dry separated restroom. Not bad. It can withstand physical attacks up to level 10. Li Sun nodded in satisfaction. Though what exactly is this roof anti-raid mount? Yang Mi stood up from the passenger seat, walked past the driving position to the rear of the cabin, and pushed open a door that had not existed before. Behind it lay a roughly 2 square meter storage room. It was not large, yet enough to hold excess supplies. She glanced back at Li Sun. We have extra storage space. We can put away all the supplies piled in the corner of the living room. Li Sun also stood, walked toward the middle of the vehicle, and looked up at the ceiling. Near the main door, metal rails and a folded metal frame were fixed to the inner roof. When he pulled it down, it revealed a hatch that opened upward. He stepped onto the back of the driver's seat, leaned out halfway, and looked up. A half-meter high guardrail had been welded onto the outer roof, with several slots designed to hold weapons or lighting equipment. The roof anti-raid mount. Lu Tianxian came over and tilted her head upward to look. Could it be for mounting weapons? Or for people to hold onto for balance when climbing onto the roof? That must be it. Li Sun closed the hatch and brushed dust off his hands. This upgrade could not have come at a better time. The snow baboon dented our door with one punch, but with this steel armor, we can ram zombies without holding back. Yang Mi walked around the interior, observing every subtle change. The walls felt far heavier with their new metallic finish. Curtain tracks had been reinforced, and even the floor had been replaced with steel plates with anti-slip texture. Right then, Tang Tang's excited cry rang out. Wow, there is a whole new restroom. Her eyes lit up as she stared at the new space toward the back of the RV. I want to take a shower. I have not cleaned myself for days and feel terrible. Tianxian Jie, come with me. No, you go first. I will use it later. Lu Tianxian waved her hands and declined. Come on, you also haven't bathed in days. You must feel awful. I can scrub your back for you. Without waiting for an answer, Tang Tang grabbed Lu Tianxian's wrist and dragged her into the restroom. A soft click sounded as the door locked. Moments later, the sound of running water flowed out from behind the partition, mixed with Tang Tang's playful laughter. Tianxian Jie, your skin is so fair. And look here, Tang Tang. Stop fooling around. Don't do that. What are you embarrassed about? We are good friends. Let me have a proper look. Ah. The thin door offered little sound insulation. Their playful banter carried clearly out into the cabin. Yang Mi leaned back on the sofa, her peach-shaped eyes watching Li Sun's shifting expression with amusement. Hey, Sun, it seems we were interrupted earlier. Yang Mi spoke, her tone half-teasing. Li Sun looked over in surprise. Mi Jie, you do not mind this at all. Yang Mi smiled brightly, moved to sit beside him in the passenger seat. Her flight attendant skirt shifted slightly as she crossed her long legs covered in black stockings. Li Sun unconsciously swallowed, thinking to himself how captivating she was. Once seated, Yang Mi looked at him with soft amusement in her eyes. I would probably care if we were living in peaceful times. But this is the end of the world. With your abilities and talents, I see no reason for the three of us not to stay by your side. Li Sun's heart raced. He stood abruptly and leaned forward, intending to kiss Yang Mi. Yet Yang Mi raised a hand and held him back. Slow down. Wait until Tianxian and Tang Tang are finished. I will take my turn to clean up afterward. She spoke in a voice only he could hear. When I go in, I will not lock the door. It all depends on whether you dare to come. Li Sun's heart skipped a beat, and he froze on the spot. Click. The restroom door opened. Tang Tang stepped out, drying her long wet hair and looking thoroughly refreshed. Lu Tianxian followed behind her, her head hanging low, a flush spreading across her fair neck. Finished washing? Yang Mi asked. That felt amazing. Tang Tang looked over at them. Brother, Mi Jie, you two should also wash up. Very well. Since you are done, I will go clean myself too. Yang Mi threw Li Sun a meaningful, provocative glance with her peach-shaped eyes, then turned and walked into the restroom. The door closed softly. There was no click of the lock. Yang Mi had intentionally left it unlocked. Soon the sound of shower water flowed from inside, quieter than it had been when Tang Tang and Lu Tianxian were fooling around. Only the gentle rush of water against tiles. Li Sun sat on the sofa, his thoughts in turmoil, replaying what he had just seen. Before stepping inside, Yang Mi had glanced back at him. Her peach-shaped eyes glistened, her lips curved with a special smile, part sincerity, part teasing, and the rest veiled behind unspoken hints, waiting for him to make the first move. Do you dare? The thought circled repeatedly in his mind. The shower noise grew louder as warm steam filled the small room. Tang Tang sat nearby, drying her damp hair. Her nurse uniform collar slipped slightly, revealing her damp collarbone. She rubbed her hair with a towel, glanced at Li Sun, then toward the restroom. A mischievous smile tugged at her lips. Without saying a word, her bright eyes made it plain that she could guess exactly what he was thinking. She turned her back toward him, draped the damp towel over the armrest of the sofa, and hummed a tuneless little song, twining strands of wet hair around her fingers. Lu Tianxian stood by the window gazing out at the wilderness, her profile turned to everyone. Droplets dotted the ruffled collar of her outfit, glinting under the cabin lights. She did not turn around, yet her ears and neck were bright red. What was he hesitating for? Yang Mi had given him such an obvious hint. In this apocalypse, nothing needed to remain hidden. Having made up his mind, Li Sun stood. He walked straight toward the restroom, where the sound of running water continued. Wow! Tang Tang's eyes widened in quiet excitement, and she gasped softly. Is he really going to go right in front of us? Lu Tianxian covered her mouth nervously. Beneath the gaze of the two girls, Li Sun reached the restroom door. He did not knock. He grasped the handle and twisted it. Click. The door swung open. Thick, warm steam washed over him, carrying the fresh scent of body wash. The water shut off. The water shut off. The graceful figure inside froze for a split second. You came. Yang Mi's alluring voice echoed, laced with clear delight. She turned, her long wet black hair clinging to her smooth back. Water droplets trailed down the elegant curve of her spine. I came because I care about you. Li Sun stepped inside and closed the door behind him. Brief silence hung in the air. What are you waiting for? Her soft voice spoke. Mi Jiai. 7 o'clock in the morning. Li Sun opened his eyes right on schedule. He looked down and saw Yang Mi curled up in his arms like a gentle kitten, fast asleep. Last night, he had carried the shy Yang Mi out of the bathroom. Under the gaze of Tang Tang and Lu Tianxian, they went upstairs and returned to their room, where they stayed up until 3 in the morning. Certain feelings and connections had long been understood by everyone, no words needed. Li Sun got up gently and walked to the RV kitchen to make breakfast. Before long, the aroma of instant noodles filled the vehicle, waking the other 3 women. Yang Mi felt it most acutely. Exhausted from the long day, her stomach was empty, and hunger gnawed at her. The 4 sat around the dining table and finished their meal. Then they began their daily reward drawing session. Tang Tang went first, followed by Lu Tianxian. Li Sun brought up the Hextech selection panel and scanned the list, most entries being ordinary supplies. 1 case of mineral water. 2 a bow and a quiver of arrows. 3 several sets of clothing. 4 auto loot cannot be equipped a second time. 5 a machete. The RV already had auto loot, so it was useless. After a moment's thought, Li Sun selected options 1, 2, and 3. Hey Sun, what are we doing today? Yang Mi asked in a soft voice. At her question, a cold smile tugged at Li Sun's lips. Yesterday our RV upgraded to level 3 and got reinforced steel plating. It can block attacks from zombies and monsters below level 10. So today we hunt. We'll raise our levels as fast as we can. The 3 women nodded in agreement and found seats. Li Sun drank the last of his noodle soup, walked to the driver's seat, and switched from autopilot to manual control. Hold on tight. We're moving out. He slammed on the gas. The huge black RV roared onto the highway. 30 kilometers down the road, Li Sun spotted 7 or 8 wandering zombies. Hunting time. Bang, bang, bang. Heavy crashes echoed across the empty highway, mixed with the crisp sound of shattering bone. The massive steel vehicle plowed into the horde at 80 kilometers per hour, like a bowling ball smashing into pins. These level 2 and level 3 zombies stood no chance against the heavy-duty RV. They became nothing more than speed bumps. Black blood splattered, limbs flew everywhere. Behind the wheel, Li Sun did not so much as raise an eyebrow. Such was the power of the level 3 steel-plated RV. Such was the overwhelming menace of this heavy-duty machine. The RVs built, in auto, loot activated silently. Loot from every kill streamed into storage, filling the cargo hold bit by bit. In the back, Tang Tang and Lu Tianxian grinned as they watched their haul pile up. Li Sun kept driving, steering straight toward zombie-infested zones. Zombies that once blocked their path had turned into an endless stream of resources, walking ATMs. So this is what mass monster hunting feels like, Li Sun thought, watching his system stats climb. A rush of excitement washed over him. After running over more than 100 zombies, Lee Sun hit the brakes. The heavy steel RV skidded along the highway before coming to a full stop. Its tracks left a trail of crushed bone and black, blood-soaked mud stretching far behind, like an ink-stained line across the pavement. The engine idled without shutting off, ready for a quick getaway if danger appeared. That's enough for now. Let's stop and take stock. Lee Sun sighed, flexing his steering wheel, gripping fingers, and standing up from the driver's seat. The three women also got to their feet. Tang Tang bounced off the sofa. Her nurse uniform skirt rode high up her thighs from her sudden movement. She tugged it back down, grabbed Lu Tianxian's hand, and hurried toward the rear of the cabin. Hurry up, Tianxian. Let's see what we picked up. Lu Tianxian stumbled a little as she was pulled along, a smile playing on her lips. Her maid apron swayed with every step. Yang Mi walked over from the passenger seat, her flight attendant uniform still neat. She reached for the handle of the newly added storage compartment door and pulled it open. A mixed smell of metal, plastic, fabric, and food wrappers drifted out. It was not foul, just dense, a blend of every kind of scavenged supply. The storage compartment was stuffed from floor to ceiling. Supplies pressed against one another, corners of packages sticking out between the piles. We really did get a lot, Yang Mi murmured. She closed the door and turned toward the tabletop. Let's lay everything out here and sort it so nothing gets mixed up. Lee Sun pulled the wall-mounted table out to its full size, and they all set to work. Tang Tang climbed into the storage room and passed items out one by one. Lu Tianxian caught them and set them on the table. Yang Mi sorted them into piles, while Lee Sun logged each quantity on his system panel. The first round of inventory was complete. Neat stacks covered the table. I'll start with water and food, Yang Mi said, pointing. 36 bottles of mineral water, 24 packs of compressed biscuits, 12 cans of luncheon meat, 8 cans of braised beef, 3 cases plus 5 extra packs of instant noodles, 2 unopened bags of rice, 18 dehydrated vegetable packets. Tang Tang sat cross-legged on the sofa, counting silently on her fingers, her eyes growing brighter. Are we basically rich now? We are, Yang Mi went on. Fuel, 2.5 barrels of gasoline, 1 barrel of kerosene, 2 bottles of lighter fluid. Tools, 3 coils of rope, 4 rolls of waterproof tape, 3 multi-purpose knives, 6 flashlights, 7 boxes of batteries, 12 boxes of matches, 4 rolls of medical bandages, 2 bottles of iodophor, 2 strips of anti-inflammatory pills. Lu Tianxian arranged the last few small items and added, miscellaneous, 2 thermoses, 1 blanket, 1 folding chair, 3 raincoats, 1 notebook, 2 ballpoint pens, 1 small box of safety pins. Looking over the spread of supplies, Lee Sun felt a measure of relief. When he finished logging the last item, his eyes fell on the flashing icon in the bottom right corner of his panel. His character level had changed. He opened the panel. Name, Lee Sun. Strength, 65. You could punch an ox to death without trouble. Speed, 58. You outrun Usain Bolt. You move at cheetah speed. Mental power, 53. You can stay awake for 3 days, though there will be consequences. Level, 4.6. Talent, Hextech Technology SSS, Unique Talent Description, Beloved of the Rift. Hextech 5 of 3 picks. You are the chosen one of a kind. Lee Sun blinked and double-checked the numbers. After one morning crushing over 100 zombies, his level had rocketed from 2.6 all the way to 4.6. Strength had jumped from 26 to 65. Speed and mental power had also risen sharply. Everyone pull up your own panels and take a look, Lee Sun said. The 3 women brought up their status screens. A short silence passed before Tang Tang gasped. Wow, I'm 4.62, same as brother. Overjoyed, she spun in place. Lu Tianxian read her stats and lifted her gaze. My level has caught up with yours as well, Sun Ji. Her eyes lowered slightly, a faint smile on her lips. Yang Mi closed her panel last. Her tone stayed calm, yet excitement shone through. I'm also 4.6. All my attributes have gone up. My mental power has improved greatly. My mental detection range is noticeably wider. So high-intensity hunting is the fastest way to level up, Lee Sun concluded. He walked to the window and stared out at the endless highway. We'll stop here for today. Our stockpile will keep us going for quite a while. Brother, look at this. Tang Tang dug through the supplies on the table and pulled out a tightly folded sheet of paper. She unfolded it, and her eyes lit up again. She held it aloft. The edges were slightly curled. The paper was thicker than ordinary printer paper, covered in fine-line technical drawings of a complex mechanical assembly. Across the top ran a printed title, Entry, Level Vehicle, Mounted Fire, System Modification Blueprint. Lee Sun took it and scanned the diagrams quickly. The design resembled a light machine gun mount meant to bolt onto the roof guard frame. It ran on fuel and fired in full auto, with an effective range marked at 80 meters, compatible with standard caliber ammunition. This blueprint should fit on our roof, Lee Sun said. He carefully refolded the paper and stowed it in a separate waterproof pouch inside storage. Once we get heavy caliber weapons, we can mount them right on the RV. The three women nodded in agreement. Suddenly, a cold system alert exploded in every survivor's mind. Attention, all players. Congratulations on surviving this far. Tonight, the full moon will turn blood red. When the blood moon rises, all monsters will fly into a murderous rage. Their aggression will rise by 300%. They will actively hunt down every living creature and every man-made vehicle. All players must prepare thoroughly for your first large-scale survival trial. Good luck. 3 full seconds of absolute silence followed the announcement. Tang Tang's hand hung mid-air, fingers still touching the edge of the blueprint. Lu Tianxian froze mid-motion while sorting supplies, half a roll of bandages in her grasp. Yang Mi held a water cup lifted toward her lips, but did not drink, staring at the virtual panel floating in front of her. Lee Sun said nothing. He opened the world chat channel. Dragon, Nation, 1-1, Blood Moon. Aggression up 300%. This is trying to kill us all. Sakura, Nation, Yamamoto, Iku. Anyone got vehicle upgrade blueprints? I'll give you my little sister. She's still a virgin. Dragon Nation, Yi. Hey, you fool. You're going to die tonight. Smile, Nation, Kim, J. Yeep. My RV is only level 1. I almost froze to death in last night's cold. Now this blood moon. We're finished. A thick sense of despair spread among the survivors. Many lives would be lost when the night was over. What does aggression increased by 300% actually mean? Tang Tang asked, confused. Yang Mi set down her cup, her voice turning grave as she ran through the dangers in her head. Simply put, monsters that normally just wander by and keep their distance will hunt us down no matter what. They will home in on any living thing and any man-made vehicle. Our RV has sat here this afternoon. Warm engine parts, cabin lights, the heater running. She glanced around the cabin. Out in the dark, we are like a brightly lit beacon. Lu Tianxian put her bandages away and brushed dust off her skirt. Her face paled for a moment before she forced herself to steady. She stepped to the window, pulled back a corner of the curtain, and looked outside. Dusk had settled. Dark twilight swallowed distant abandoned factories and smokestacks. The horizon blurred into shadow. How long until full nightfall? Less than an hour. Lee Sun checked the dashboard clock. Luckily our RV is level 3 now. As long as we are not completely surrounded, this steel-plated vehicle should get us through this crisis. Yang Mi nodded. Level 3 plating can hold against monsters below level 10. So our plan tonight is simple. Keep driving at high speed. Which means fuel is our most urgent shortage right now, Lu Tianxian pointed out. Exactly. All 3 of you open regional and world chat. Trade extra supplies for gasoline. Lee Sun ordered the women. He was about to browse world chat for sellers when something caught his eye out the windshield. A tiny red speck landed on the glass and dissolved into a faint red smear. Then came a second drop, and a third. Brother, me, Jia, Tianxian, Jia, look outside. Tang Tang cried out in shock. Everyone turned toward the windows. Beneath the dusk sky, fine raindrops had begun to fall, pattering across the desolate wasteland. Is it raining? Lu Tianxian leaned close and touched the cold glass with her fingertips. We've traveled this survival highway for days and never seen rain before. Something is wrong. Lee Sun hurried to the window, rolled it down, and held out his palm to catch the falling drops. He pulled his hand back and shut the window quickly. The 3 women crowded around, staring at the red stain on his palm. Is this blood rain? Yang Mi gasped, covering her mouth. The system voice chimed in. Ding. Blood rain. Monster strength increased by 100%. Stacks with blood moon effects. Congratulations to survivors on Highway 444 of the Dragon Nation. You have drawn the extremely rare blood moon plus blood rain combination. Survivors who live through this will receive system rewards. Good luck to Highway 444 survivors. Blood moon raises monster aggression 300%. Blood rain boosts their strength 100%. Yang Mi's expression darkened. They want everyone on Highway 444 dead. Even the normally calm Lee Sun frowned deeply. He opened the regional chat channel. Within minutes it had descended into chaos. Dragon Nation, Lee Kong. Damn it, system. What did Highway 444 ever do to you? Are you trying to wipe us out? Dragon Nation, Tado, I knew our road number was bad. 4, death, death, death. Dragon, Nation, Chun, Shi, fellow countrymen. Coordinates 3125, 6531. My RV is level 3. I cannot take everyone aboard, but if you trust me, follow behind me. I will take the brunt of the first wave. Dragon Nation, Bao, Junyu. Thank you, Big Shot. I'm coming. I'm coming too. +1. Hey, Sun, should we go help them? Youngmi asked. She had also read the regional messages. Tang Tang spoke right after. Yes, brother. Our RV is level 3. Our defenses are strong enough. Lu Tianxian's heart also went out to the others. They are all Dragon Nation survivors. Sun, gee, if we can manage it, we ought to lend a hand. Let me think. Li Sun knitted his brows and fell into thought, weighing the risks and benefits. Should he go, or stay safe and turn away? Li Sun stood by the window, watching red raindrops strike the windshield in growing numbers. Rain pattered against the steel roof, countless tiny taps like fingers drumming on metal. The regional chat warning hung fresh in his mind, blood moons stacked with blood rain. Silence filled the cabin. None of the women pressed him for an answer. They understood his dilemma. Play it safe and stay out of trouble, or risk everything for fellow survivors. Yangmi leaned against the sofa edge watching him. Tang Tang sat gripping a heavy hammer. Lu Tianxian stood quietly behind him, hands folded. Outside, full night had arrived. Red rain dyed the sky a heavy, murky crimson. The rain blurred the distance into smudged, dark shapes, like ink run across paper. The tactical lamps cast white light through the downpour, refracting into countless tiny flickering specks. Li Sun took a deep breath and turned around. His gaze swept over Yangmi, then Lu Tianxian and Tang Tang. After a short pause, he spoke firmly. We're going. Head for Chun, Shi's coordinates. Tang Tang jumped up from the sofa, overjoyed. Brother, really? Really? Li Sun returned to the driver's seat and buckled his seatbelt. But once we arrive, everyone follows my orders. Keep a safe distance from their vehicles. Do not get close. If we trade supplies, use only the system trade interface. Never step foot outside the RV. Yangmi nodded and sat in the passenger seat. That is exactly what I would advise. We act only as an extra line of defense. We will not get tangled up in their internal affairs. Li Sun pressed the gas. The RV's tracks churned over rain, soaked ground toward Chun, Shi's marked coordinates. Blood, red rain streaked across the windshield. The wipers pushed it aside, leaving faint crimson trails. Visibility was poor in the downpour, but the RV's powerful headlights lit the road ahead clearly. Li Sun held speed at 60 kilometers per hour, fast enough to outrun threats, slow enough to avoid skidding on wet pavement. Half an hour later, Chun, she posted an update in regional chat. I have reached 3125, 6531. This is an open clearing with good sight lines. I have parked. Li Sun followed the system navigation toward the coordinates. It was indeed a wide open area with no tall buildings to block the view. At the front of the clearing sat a dark, gray medium-sized RV, smaller than Li Sun's vehicle, but heavily modified. Floodlights were mounted on its roof, reinforced steel plates welded to its body, and heavy-duty off-road tires fitted. Its tail light glowed orange, red through the rain, like a steady spark in the dark. Dozens of smaller vehicles pulled up around the clearing, beat-up pickup trucks, converted vans, a civilian sedan piled high with luggage, its body caked in mud. Each vehicle sat roughly 20 meters apart. They did not touch, yet they stayed within sight of one another. Beneath the red, tinted rain and deep night, they resembled wary animals huddling through a storm, keeping their distance, yet sharing the same small patch of light. Li Sun parked his RV at the edge of the clearing, 30 meters away from the gray RV. He killed the engine but kept the lights on, then opened the regional chat channel. Dragon Nation Chun Shi, fellow countrymen. Half an hour remains until the blood moon rises. Post what you need to trade. Keep your distance. Do not get out of your vehicles. That is for everyone's safety. Dragon Nation Wangxing. Well said. We are all Dragon Nation people. Listen to this big shot. No one gets out. +1 anyone got extra gasoline? I'll trade food for it. I need water. We'll trade a pocket knife. Need bandages. Offering painkillers in exchange. The entire regional channel was filled with people trading supplies. There were no pleasantries or small talk, only brief, direct demands and conditions. It was like a group of strangers who had squeezed into the same cave during a storm, each occupying their own corner to barter for urgently needed goods. Li Sun traded several bottles of water and packs of compressed biscuits for a bucket of gasoline, then exchanged a few rolls of adhesive tape for a box of bullets. Yangmi swapped a bag of dehydrated vegetables for a spare short knife. Lu Tianxian traded 2 packs of bandages for a bottle of painkillers. Once the trades were finished, silence fell over the various vehicles once more. The blood rain kept falling. Red rain washed over the car bodies and the ground, dyeing the whole open ground a dull ochre hue. Tactical lamplight from outside illuminated the vehicles, keeping their distance, casting clear outlines over every one of them. Inside the recreational vehicle, the atmosphere softened little by little. "Brother, I'm really happy." Tang Tang sat on the sofa, a genuine smile spreading across her face. Li Sun felt somewhat confused. The blood moon is almost here, and danger is looming. What is there to be happy about? She's rejoicing over the unity among us Chinese people. As the eldest of the group, Yang Mi saw Tang Tang's feelings at once. Lu Tianxian softly nodded in agreement beside her, her tone solemn. On this off-world survival highway, the innate drive of us Chinese to support one another has not been worn away by the hardships of survival. A glimmer of human decency still remains. Hearing their words, Li Sun had a moment of realization and slowly nodded. "You're right. I'm glad I agreed to set out. If I'd refused, I would probably have seemed cold-hearted, selfish, and indifferent to my fellow countrymen in your eyes. That would never happen. No matter what choice you make, brother, it will always be the right one in my heart." Tang Tang immediately spoke up, refuting him loudly. Yang Mi nodded gently and replied in a soft voice. "Hey son, I know what kind of person you are. When you hesitated earlier, your first thought was for our safety. If we hadn't been holding you back, you would have rushed to help others without a second thought." Lu Tianxian beside her nodded in agreement as well. Li Sun was slightly stunned. He secretly marveled that he was seen in such a light by the 3 women. He coughed lightly to mask his inner feelings and spoke. "You're right. If you weren't here with me, I would undoubtedly rush to aid my fellow survivors without hesitation. I would just be so." Li Sun had not finished his sentence when a private system message popped up. "China Chen Shi. Brother, I just checked your vehicle structure. Yours is also Tier 3, right?" "China Li Sun. That's correct. It's a Tier 3 armored recreational vehicle." "China Chen Shi. Brother Li Sun, once the blood moon begins, we might need you to take the lead alongside me. Any issues with that?" "China Li Sun. Brother Chun, no problem. That's exactly why I came." "China Chen Shi. Haha, Brother Li Sun, I knew it. When it comes to unity, us Chinese are second to none in the world. I'll cut this short. I need to tell everyone the good news that we have one more Tier 3 vehicle to boost everyone's morale." Watching how Chun Shi thought constantly for the other survivors, Li Sun felt a surge of admiration for him. Regional Channel China Chen Shi. Everyone, great news. Another fellow countryman has arrived in a Tier 3 vehicle. Our chances of surviving the blood moon have just gotten better. China Bai Sanshao. Thanks to this unknown big shot. Wish you safety and good fortune, and may you always have company. +1+1. Ding 1 minute remains until the blood moon rises. All survivors, please prepare yourselves. Good luck to you all. China Chen Shi. Everyone, follow my commands. China Chen Shi. Our 2 Tier 3 vehicles will lead the charge. Tier 2 vehicles will follow on both flanks behind us. Tier 1 vehicles stay in the middle. Once the monster horde arrives, our 2 Tier 3 vehicles will hold the front line. Tier 2 vehicles will cover the sides. China Chen Shi. Friends in Tier 1 vehicles, do not under any circumstances rush out. Keep pace with us and move forward. China Chen Shi. Form up now and move forward at a steady speed. China Bao Junyu. Understood, Brother Chun. Received +1. Li Sun silently drove his recreational vehicle to the front and pulled alongside Chun Shi's vehicle, ready to face the incoming monster tide. The long convoy behind them slowly began to follow. System notice, 30 seconds remaining. The patter of red raindrops striking the roof grew heavier, turning into loud drumming beats pounding down from the sky, as if beating against everyone's hearts. System notice, 20 seconds remaining. Clouds swirled overhead. Every so often a crack opened, revealing the fully blood-red moon behind them, casting a dark crimson glow through the gaps. System notice, 10 seconds remaining. Li Sun gripped the steering wheel and stared out at the open ground ahead. At the edge of the clearing, vague shapes began to appear through the rain. Figures moved slowly and heavily, drawing closer toward the lit area from all directions. Like moths drawn to flame, they stepped out from the depths of darkness, dragging their feet through the muddy red rain. Beneath the white glow of the tactical lamps, their twisted forms came into view. System notice, the blood moon has begun. It started. Yang Mi's voice came from beside him, low and quiet. Li Sun saw a new message pop up from Chun Shi in the regional channel. China Chen Shi. Everyone, get ready. Through the rain curtain, The blurry shapes drew nearer and grew clearer. There were four-limbed monsters similar to snow baboons, hunched human-like zombies, and several larger, mutated beast-type creatures. Drenched by the blood rain, their movements quickened. Their eyes reflected the white tactical lamplight, glinting dark red. China Chen-shi, fellow countryman, charge. Li Sun glanced in the rearview mirror. Every vehicle was in position, maintaining formation. He took a deep breath, tightened his hold on the steering wheel, and pressed his foot down on the gas pedal. The engine of the steel-plated recreational vehicle let out a deep roar. The two Tier 3 vehicles surged forward side by side, like two rain-soaked iron plows cutting straight into the oncoming darkness. Tracks crunched across the muddy red ground. The vehicles shook violently under impacts. The first monster directly in their path was sent flying, arcing through the rain before crashing back into the dark distance. A second was crushed beneath the tracks. The vehicle lurched downward, then bounced back upward. Headlights of the two Tier 3 vehicles stretched out like straight beams of light, glowing swords cutting through the blood-rain-soaked highway. Tier 2 and Tier 1 vehicles followed closely in the path they had opened, bouncing over puddles as they advanced at a careful, stable speed. Bang! Bang bang! The two Tier 3 vehicles kept smashing into monsters again and again, the fight long and grueling. Inside the recreational vehicle, the atmosphere was heavy and still. Li Sun kept both hands locked firmly on the steering wheel, holding his course without the slightest lapse in focus. In the passenger seat, Yang Mi was tense. Her fingers rested against her leg, her expression tight with anxiety. In the back, Lu Tianxian and Tang Tang clung to each other, silently praying. Continuous crashes echoed. The sound of shattering bones mixed with engine roars, swallowed then thrown back by the drumming blood rain. Li Sun's knuckles whitened around the steering wheel, yet he did not loosen his grip or slow down. Chen-shi's gray vehicle stayed perfectly parallel to his. Even through the chaos of battle, the gap between them never shifted. They fought side by side, perfectly coordinated partners amid the terrifying monster tide. Occasionally monsters tried to leap at the convoy from the sides, but Tier 2 vehicles quickly moved into position, blocking the attacks with their hulls before knocking the creatures away. The whole night wore on amid crashes, blood rain, and engine noise. Eventually the sky began to brighten. Red raindrops thinned from heavy pounding to sparse dripping, then stopped entirely. A crack opened in the cloud cover, revealing pale blue daylight beneath. The moon had not yet set, but its crimson hue had faded, turning a faint silver as it blended into the early morning light. Vehicle outlines emerged once more across the open ground in the dawn glow. Car bodies were caked in black-red mud. A dozen vehicles had broken headlights, several had torn off side mirrors, and others bore deep claw marks along their doors. But every single vehicle had survived. They kept their original formation. Two Tier 3 vehicles at the front, Tier 2 vehicles guarding the flanks, Tier 1 vehicles in the center. They had lived through the blood moon. Li Sun brought the vehicle to a halt and released the steering wheel. His hands trembled slightly from muscle strain after hours of white-knuckle gripping. He glanced back into the cabin. Tang Tang climbed back down from the roof, soaked through, her uniform clinging to her body. Yet her face was lit up with joy and her eyes sparkled. Lu Tianxian sat in the rear seats, also soaked, bending over to hand Tang Tang a towel. Yang Mi sat in the passenger seat. Her uniform was rumpled, strands of hair falling loose across her face. Their eyes met, and she lifted her thumb in approval. Li Sun cracked a small smile. He turned his gaze toward the morning light outside, feeling a profound sense of relief. Regional Channel China Chen-shi, fellow countrymen, we have survived this crisis. Let us celebrate. China Yi-hei, amazing, Brother Chen. Go China. China Xiao Zuer. Hats off to the two big shots. Awesome. Awesome +1+1. The regional chat flooded with praise. Li Sun read the flood of complimentary messages, then lifted his eyes toward the brightening sky outside. The wilderness lay soaked by blood rain, glistening with moisture. Far along the horizon, sunlight streamed through cloud rifts, painting the sky soft gold. He exhaled, unfurled his cramped fingers, and held his palms toward the heater vent, finally letting go of his tension. Then came an announcement that thrilled every survivor along Highway 444 in China. Congratulations to all survivors on China's Highway 444. Through your unity, you have endured this once in 100 years combined blood moon and blood rain event. System reward granted to all surviving Highway 444 survivors. 1 free vehicle upgrade. Congratulations once again. As the message faded, a vehicle upgrade blueprint materialized out of thin air inside every surviving vehicle along Highway 444. Wow, another upgrade blueprint. Tang Tang grabbed the blueprint and exclaimed excitedly. A happy smile spread across Lu Tianxian's face as well. Li Sun was about to speak when Chun Shi sent another message to the regional channel. China Chun Shi, fellow countrymen, all journeys must come to an end. Let us part ways here. A final reminder, do not exit your vehicles lightly. Use your new upgrade blueprints as soon as possible. Thanks for the reminder, Big Shot. Thank you. Seeing Chun Shi's message, Li Sun activated autopilot and guided the recreational vehicle smoothly away from the survivor gathering spot. He understood human nature well. Once the threat of monsters receded, conflicts over resources among survivors would follow. This place was filled with all kinds of people, and leaving early was the wisest choice. Yang Mi in the passenger seat fully agreed with his decision. Brother, activate the vehicle upgrade blueprint quickly. Tang Tang urged excitedly from the back. Li Sun nodded slightly and activated the blueprint directly. Vehicle upgrade commencing. The upgrade has started. The blueprint dissolved into rich, deep gold light, brighter than any previous upgrade. A fist-sized glowing orb formed in the center of the cabin, hung suspended for 5 seconds, then burst apart. Countless tiny particles drifted outward like dandelion seeds, seeping into every steel plate and gap across the vehicle. Tang Tang and Lu Tianxian on the sofa watched as the space around them twisted and stretched. The already spacious living room expanded visibly before their eyes. The ceiling rose higher, hull plates thickened, and flooring stretched outward. A far stronger vibration followed. The whole vehicle shook, not in a threatening way, but with deep, steady rhythm, like a great beast flexing its bones. Heavy metal stretching sounds echoed, continuous noises of welding seams fusing together and mechanical components rearranging deep within the hull. The process lasted far longer than earlier upgrades. After roughly 4 minutes, the shaking gradually died away and silence returned. The golden light faded. A new system prompt popped up on Li Sun's interface. Vehicle upgrade complete. Vehicle, Steel Fortress RV Tier, 4 travel speed, 95 km per h fuel, 100 out of 100 defense, reinforced steel decking resists physical attacks up to level 15 plus explosion-proof windows resists moderate impact blows condition. Excellent. Features, living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, medium-sized storage compartment, roof anti-raid mounting frame, wet-dry separated washroom, newly added zone lighting system. Space, 40 cubic meters interior living space expanded into duplex layout. New addition, basic weapon interface compatible with light-mounted vehicle weapons. Li Sun read the updated stat sheet, his smile growing wider. Capable of withstanding attacks from level 15 monsters, plus explosion-proof windows. Practically invincible for the current era. Tang Tang leaned forward and pressed her face against the window. The glass feels thicker. It's darker too. These are explosion-proof windows. Yang Mi stepped over and tapped the rubber seal along the window edge. It gave a dull, solid thud. Far tougher than our old glass. Ordinary impacts shouldn't be able to break it now. Lu Tianxian opened the storage room door and peered inside. It was nearly twice as large. New rows of shelves lined the walls. Supplies that had previously been piled haphazardly were now neatly stacked, leaving plenty of empty floor space. The storage room is so much bigger. We can stock up on far more supplies now. Li Sun walked to the middle of the cabin and glanced upward at the ceiling. The metal rails of the anti-raid mounting frame were thicker, with several new pre-installed slots. He noticed a fresh control panel set into the wall beside the kitchen counter, lined with buttons and connectors labeled Weapon Interface. This spot right here. He pointed at the panel. This must be the interface the blueprint mentioned. Once we get heavy-duty weapons, we can hook them straight into this. Tang Tang peeked over Li Sun's shoulder at the system panel and asked curiously, Brother, when will we get heavy weapons? Li Sun looked toward her and smiled. To get heavy weapons, we'll have to see what rewards we get from today's roll. He glanced toward the 3 women, his meaning clear. Yang Mi, Lu Tianxian, and Tang Tang exchanged glances. Each stepped forward and gave him a light kiss on the cheek. It had become a familiar daily ritual, and none of them felt self-conscious. He opened his character panel. Name, Li Sun. Strength, 70. You now possess superhuman physical power. Speed, 60. You have surpassed Bolt, reaching cheetah-level speed. Mental power, 60. You can stay awake for 3 days, though after effects will follow. Level, 5. Talent, Hextech Unique SS Grade Talent Description, Beloved of the Rift. Hextech Pick 3 out of 5. You are the chosen one, 1 vacant. 1 selection available today. Activate Hextech. Activate selection. 1. Infinite fuel tank. Never worry about fuel shortages again. Point 2. Pack of sanitary pads. Essential supplies for women. 3. Heavy chain-driven autocannon. Never worry about insufficient firepower. Point 4. Spatial folding storage containers inside the RV expand 10,000-fold. 5. Small animal affinity. Small creatures will be favorably disposed toward you. Lee Sun did not hesitate at all. He picked options 1, 3, and 4. Light flashed, and 3 items materialized on the cabin floor. The first was a silver-gray metal fuel tank, smaller than a standard tank. It had no filling ports or inlet openings, only an exposed output pipe ending in a quick connect standard fitting. A label stuck to its base read, Infinite Fuel. Lee Sun crouched down and lifted it. It was surprisingly light. He carried it over to the RV's original fuel tank position, unlatched the connector clip, and snapped the new tank's output pipe into place with a sharp click. The fuel reading on his panel flickered. Where it had once shown 100/100, an infinity symbol infinity now appeared. It's truly infinite. We won't ever need to hunt for fuel again. He stood up, brushing dust off his hands. Tang Tang hurried over and knelt beside the second item, a heavy-duty dark gray autocannon. It was more compact than Lee Sun had expected, roughly 1 meter long, with a short, thick barrel, matte-coated casing, feed chain port, and cooling grooves along its side. Though it looked heavy, Lee Sun's enhanced strength allowed him to lift it with one hand. It would still need to be secured to the mounting frame for stable firing. The third item was a silver orb the size of a fist, with a smooth surface devoid of any buttons or ports. The moment Lee Sun picked it up, a system panel popped up with a prompt. Space, folding core. Activate. Activate, Lee Sun said. The silver sphere glowed faintly and vanished. At the same time, the storage room's interior expanded silently. The entire back wall slid backward, and the floor stretched outwards. In mere seconds, the original 40 cubic meter space transformed into a vast, empty warehouse. Rows of metal storage racks rose automatically from the ground, neatly arranged. Hooks and fixed slots appeared on the walls, and embedded ceiling light strips lit up, flooding the whole area with bright light. Lu Tianxian pushed open the storage room door, took one look, then stepped slowly backward, her expression shifting. Everything inside is gone. Yang Mi walked over to have a look as well. Standing in the doorway, her gaze swept across the enormous space whose far end was barely visible. She fell silent for 2 seconds before turning back toward Lee Sun. This is no longer just a storage room. It's a full-scale warehouse. Lee Sun did not reply. He squatted beside the autocannon, lifted it, and carried it over to the roof hatch. Climbing up via the folding ladder, he found matching slots on the vehicle's anti-raid mounting bracket. The fixed frame beneath the cannon slotted perfectly into place with a crisp click as it locked tight. He gave the gun barrel a shove to confirm it was secured, then glanced down at the weapon interface panel on the sidewall. A connecting cable ran down from the cannon's base along the inner roof to the panel, its plug perfectly aligned with the port. He pushed the plug home. Several buttons on the panel lit up, displaying the message, Weapon System Connected. Down below, Tang Tang craned her neck upward, her eyes shining brightly. Brother, can we fire it? Sure, I'll grant your wish. Lee Sun gave Tang Tang an affectionate glance. He walked to the window and gazed out into the distance. Stretching before him lay open highways and wilderness, free of vehicles, buildings, or anything that needed to be avoided. Returning beside the driver's seat, he located the fire button on the newly added weapon control panel and pressed it gently. The autocannon let out a short, deep roar. The ammunition belt rotated with a low, powerful rumble, feeding a stream of rounds into the chamber. Bright, brief flashes of fire erupted as bullets tore out of the barrel. The projectile struck the ground roughly 200 meters away, kicking up clouds of dirt and dust. The bullet impacts clustered within a radius of less than 1 meter. Sharp gunshots echoed across the open wilderness for 2 or 3 seconds before fading into the wind. A moment of quiet settled inside the cabin. Wow, that's amazing. Tang Tang's voice came from below the roof hatch, brimming with delight. Lee Sun released the button. The gun barrel stopped spinning, the firing ceased, and the wilderness lapsed back into stillness. He glanced at the panel. Ammunition status showed sufficient supply, with no specific numerical readout, implying unlimited bullets. With the RV's defensive strength paired with this autocannon, hordes of monsters would stand no chance. He engaged the cannon's safety, climbed back down the ladder, and re-entered the cabin. All 3 women were watching him. Yang Mi leaned against the sofa armrest with her arms crossed, a familiar smile playing at the corners of her mouth. Lu Tianxian stood by the kitchen dining table holding a glass of water, looking toward him with eyes full of trust. Tang Tang had already stepped up to him, tilting her face upward. Her nurse uniform had slipped slightly from climbing the ladder earlier. We've got unlimited fuel now, an autocannon, endless ammunition, and a large warehouse. Li Sun brushed dust off his trouser legs. We won't have to worry about basic survival for the time being. All of this is thanks to your talent. Yang Mi strode over and leaned close to Li Sun, speaking only for him to hear. Hey, Sun, tonight I'll give you a proper reward. Really? Then I've got some ideas for how we can spend the evening. Li Sun's spirits lifted at once. Very well, I'll indulge you. Yang Mi shot him a playful glance and nodded softly. Sister Mi, brother, what are you whispering about? Tang Tang squeezed in between them, curious. Tell me. Li Sun was thinking of how to fob Tang Tang off when the system alert blared abruptly inside everyone's minds. Ding new rules added Rule 1, Eternal Blood Moon. A blood moon will descend every 7 days hereafter, with each occurrence growing progressively more difficult. Rule 2, service stations spawn randomly near highways. Service stations are absolute safe zones where survivors may rest free of charge. Rule 3, regional barriers shattered. Highway sections from different regions will form random junctions. You will now encounter survivors from other regions and even other nations. Rule 4, secret realms descend. Secret realms spawn randomly near highways. Note, secret realms may contain zombies, anomalies, vampires, werewolves, and so forth. They may also yield magic arts, magical artifacts, crosses, sacred scriptures, and more. Rule 5, vehicle combat mode activated. Destroying another survivor's vehicle grants you 30% of its stored supplies and core energy. Best of luck to all survivors as you strive onward. The blood moon comes every 7 days, and it keeps getting harder. Li Sun read the rules displayed on the panel aloud, then tapped the close button. The translucent interface vanished. He turned to face the 3 women. Silence hung in the cabin for a short while. Tang Tang was the first to speak. So every 7 days we have to endure a blood moon, and each one is worse than the last? That's right. Yang Mi took over the conversation, sitting down on the sofa to organize her thoughts. Rule 1 means blood moons will become routine. We can't afford to scramble for last-minute preparations like we did this time. The second rule is good news. Lu Tianxian walked over from the kitchen carrying freshly brewed tea and passed the cups around. Service stations are completely safe and offer free rest. If we can reach one before each blood moon, our safety will improve greatly. Li Sun nodded, sipping his tea, and continued. Rules 3 and 4 are the critical ones. Barriers between regions are gone. We will meet survivors from other areas, even from other countries. Secret realms hold great danger, yet also great opportunity. Magic arts, artifacts, sacred scriptures, obtaining those could raise our overall combat potential drastically. Yang Mi and Lu Tianxian both nodded in full agreement with his assessment. What about Rule 5? Tang Tang tilted her head. Vehicle combat. Destroy other people's cars and seize their supplies. It is a double-edged sword. Yang Mi set down her teacup, her tone calm. Others can loot us just as we might loot them. But with our current setup, blast-proof windows, steel plating, and the autocannon, our RV is far better equipped than most vehicles. As long as we avoid provoking high-level convoys, we should be able to defend ourselves. Exactly. So our plan is straightforward. Li Sun traced a line on the tabletop with his finger. First, locate a service station and rest for a day. Before any secret realm spawns, we upgrade our vehicle and weapons further. Once a secret realm appears, we go in and test our luck. None of the 3 women raised objections. Li Sun started the RV and activated autopilot. It held a steady speed of 70 kilometers per hour as it rolled down the highway. About 1 hour passed. Brother, look over there. Tang Tang pressed against the window and pointed forward, calling out. Several standalone buildings appeared on the right side of the highway. 3-story white structures of modest size, encircled by a 3-meter high perimeter wall. A warm, yellow illuminated sign atop the building read Service Station in clear Chinese characters. The iron gate in the wall stood open. Several vehicles were parked inside the compound, and people could be seen moving about. As Li Sun's level 4 Steel Fortress RV pulled inside, it drew every eye present. Its massive body and heavy steel plating made its formidable defensive capabilities obvious at a glance. Whoa, that RV's level 4? Some people have all the luck. Mine's still only level 2, just a regular sedan. Li Sun ignored the outside chatter and drove the vehicle into the service station compound. Ding! You have entered a service station. Li Sun guided the RV into an empty parking spot and cut the engine. He pushed open the door and stepped onto solid concrete ground. There was a long, missing sense of stability here. unlike the wilderness where constant vigilance was required. This was a genuine safe haven for rest. He surveyed his surroundings. The compound was larger than it had looked from outside. Lamps mounted every few meters along the wall lit the open area brightly. A few small trees grew in the center of the lot, with benches underneath. Some survivors sat there drinking water and eating bread. The ground floor of the main building was an open public area furnished with tables, chairs, and overhead lights. Along one wall stood water dispensers and taps. The three women climbed out of the RV as well and stood beside it, observing their surroundings. Yang Mi's gaze swept over the parked vehicles, a military green modified off-road truck, a white van covered in solar panels, and a dark blue family sedan. Some survivors leaned against their vehicles smoking, others rested in driver's seats. They exchanged brief nods or glances but engaged in little conversation. The arrival of the three famous women instantly captured every man's attention within the station. The first to notice them was a man smoking beside the military green off-road truck. His cigarette hung halfway to his lips, burnt ash clinging to the filter. His gaze traveled over Yang Mi before his Adam's apple bobbed, and the ash clattered to the ground. His squatting companion was nudged by an elbow and looked up. He froze mid-smoke, staring at Yang Mi as if witnessing something impossible on this survival highway. The van's driver, who had been dozing with his window down, woke to the commotion. He blinked repeatedly, certain he was dreaming. His eyes darted between Yang Mi, Lu Tianxian, and Tang Tang, unsure where to focus. A young couple in the dark blue sedan also turned their heads. The young man had been eating instant noodles. His chopsticks slipped out of his mouth and fell into the bowl. His girlfriend elbowed him sharply, snapping him back to reality. Every gaze across the compound converged on the short stretch between the RV door and the station entrance. Yang Mi walked in front. Her stewardess uniform caught the lamplight, and she moved confidently in high-heeled shoes. She paid no mind to the stairs, maintaining her usual poised, unruffled bearing. Lu Tianxian followed a few steps behind. The ruffled collar of her maid uniform rested softly against her collarbone, and her white apron swished gently over her calves as she walked. She kept her eyes slightly lowered, neither evading nor acknowledging the onlookers, moving forward quietly. Light fell across her fair complexion, lending her an almost ethereal aura, as though she had stepped straight out of a painting. Tang Tang brought up the rear, her movements lively. She hopped down the steps, her hair swinging, and her skirt flared out as she landed. Seemingly oblivious to the stairs, she craned her neck this way and that, like a child visiting an amusement park for the first time. She glanced toward the station gate, then back at the RV, and called loudly to Lu Tianxian, "Tianxian, Jia, slow down and wait for me." Her clear voice carried far through the quiet night. 3 seconds of silence passed before murmurs broke out. "Is that the 3 actresses from Chinese Paladin? Who's that guy with them? I'd love to trade places with him." Yang Mi halted before the station entrance, turned her pretty face toward Li Sun, and smiled playfully. "Hey, Sun, aren't your companions putting on quite a good show?" Li Sun remained calm, while Lu Tianxian and Tang Tang blushed shyly behind him. Li Sun coughed softly, smiling. "Indeed, they are all outstanding and beautiful." He stretched and yawned, showing signs of fatigue. "Let's find somewhere to settle down. We barely slept through last night's blood moon. I'm worn out." Yang Mi's eyes crinkled with amusement. "Then lead the way, and get your group some proper rest." "Sister Mi, stop teasing us," Lu Tianxian said, flustered, covering Yang Mi's mouth with her hand to halt her banter. "All right, let's go inside to rest." Li Sun smiled, reached out, took Lu Tianxian's hand in one palm and Yang Mi's in the other, and guided them forward. He called over his shoulder to Tang Tang. "Tang Tang, hurry and catch up." Warm touch passed between their palms, and faint pink tinged the cheeks of the 2 women he held, their expressions soft. Trailing behind, Tang Tang watched their affectionate exchange and giggled quietly behind her hand. A 3-story main building stood at the station's center, built like a hotel. Upon entering the lobby, countless guest rooms stretched out before them. They were far more numerous than the physical dimensions of the building would allow. Li Sun's eyes widened in surprise. "That's unbelievable. This must be space-folding technology." He picked out an unoccupied room, collected the keycard, and led the others up to the 3rd floor. When they pushed open the door, Tang Tang cheered aloud. The suite was spacious. A large living room area featured dark, brown leather sofas, a marble coffee table, and a huge wall-mounted screen. Floor to ceiling windows spanned one entire wall, with heavy blackout curtains blocking the cold wilderness outside. There was a separate dining nook and small kitchenette. Most importantly, 3 individual bedrooms held neat, soft bedding. The bathroom was particularly impressive, finished in dark, veined marble with a large oval bathtub alongside a separate shower stall. There was also a walk-in closet and a small reading study. Every amenity was available. Against the backdrop of this desolate survival highway, the luxurious suite felt like a hidden paradise. Finally, we can take a nice long bath. Tang Tang grabbed Lu Tianxian's arm, ready to dash for the bathroom. Tianxian, Jia, come help me wash my back. Yang Mi stepped forward and stopped them, smiling gently. Let me help you wash tonight instead, Tang Tang. Okay, that sounds great. Tang Tang thought for a moment and nodded happily. She let go of Lu Tianxian and pulled Yang Mi toward the shower room. As the door closed, Yang Mi shot a subtle glance toward Lu Tianxian. Only Li Sun and Lu Tianxian remained in the living room. Li Sun guessed Yang Mi had intentionally left them alone together. Just then, Lu Tianxian spoke in a quiet, shy voice. Sun, Ji, would you like some water? Thank you, Tianxian, Li Sun replied gently. Lu Tianxian walked to the kitchenette, took 2 glasses from the cabinet, and slowly poured water from a bottle. She moved slightly slower than usual, as if taking time to compose herself before returning. Li Sun noticed her fingers tensed faintly around the glass while pouring. There was a tiny tremor along the rim that she quickly steadied. She set 1 glass down on the coffee table in front of him, then sat on a single-seat sofa beside him. Holding her own cup in both hands, she did not drink, merely stared down at the still water inside, as if waiting for something. Quiet fell over the living room. Only faint splashing water and Yang Mi's light-hearted laughter drifted out of the bathroom. Li Sun said nothing for a moment. He took a sip of his water, set the glass down, leaned back against the sofa cushion, and turned his head to look at Lu Tianxian. She sat bathed in lamplight, wearing her black and white maid outfit, white-collared blouse beneath a fitted black waistcoat that accentuated her slim figure. Her short black, pleated skirt barely covered the tops of her thighs. A white apron tied into a bow at her waist. Her long black hair cascaded smoothly down, highlighting her elegant features. Her cool, toned temperament blended beautifully with the maid costume, creating a look that was both soft and captivating. Tianxian, Li Sun spoke in a low, clear voice that cut through the hush of the room. Has traveling with us been tiring? Lu Tianxian lifted her head and met his gaze. Her almond eyes held a flicker of surprise, as though she had not expected that particular question. She thought for a moment and shook her head gently. Not really. Along the way, you've been driving, Yang Mi handles arrangements, and Tang Tang takes point. I mostly just follow along. We're a team, Li Sun said, his tone casual yet natural, as if stating a long, established fact. Whether it's driving, making arrangements, or fighting monsters, no one fights alone. We're all in this together. Lu Tianxian's hand stirred slightly, her fingertip tracing half a circle along the edge of her cup, yet she said nothing in reply. Still, she glanced up at him, holding his gaze longer than before, as if trying to read something from his words. Li Sun did not look away. He met her eyes, letting her know he still remembered that night. Remembered her walking barefoot down the stairs, the quiet, tentative question, and that heavy kiss, the very beginning of everything between them. Lu Tianxian. He called her full name once more, his voice far more earnest this time. She sat up straight and set her cup softly down on the table. Then, as if she had finally understood, or gotten what she had been waiting for, emotion welled up in her eyes. She held it back quickly. A faint, almost invisible glisten shone briefly under the lamplight before fading away. She stood up. Moving unhurriedly, she stepped forward, 1 pace, then another, until she stood right in front of Li Sun. She looked down at him. Her stance put her marginally taller than the seated man, yet she bent forward slightly, looping her arms gently around his neck. Her lips drew near his ear and paused for a heartbeat. Then she spoke in a whisper. You knew when my feelings started, but you never said a word. She straightened and looked at him. Her eyes held tangled emotions, overlaid with a quiet, faint hurt. Li Sun reached out and closed his hand around her wrist. The warmth of his touch made her breath catch. He rose to his feet. They stood so close he could spot the faint sheen of moisture on her eyelashes glinting in the lamplight. He leaned in and kissed her. This kiss was unlike any they had shared before. Earlier touches, whether quick brushes against cheeks or tentative kisses, had been wrapped in excuses of testing abilities or ritual formalities. There were no pretenses this time. Lu Tianxian's fingers tightened lightly around his neck as she leaned fully into his embrace. Fabric of her made uniform pressed against his shirt, body heat passing between the 2 layers of cloth. From down the hallway toward the bathroom came the steady sound of running water, mixed with Tang Tang's unrestrained laughter, muffled by the closed door and steam. Only a thin door separated them. The risk of being discovered hung thick in the air, charging the atmosphere in the living room. After a while, Li Sun drew back slightly and looked down at her face. She tilted her head back, cheeks flushed, lips rosy, yet her eyes were bright. The glisten in them remained, no longer shaped by sorrow. He lifted a hand and brushed stray strands of hair from her face, tucking them behind her ear. Lu Tianxian raised her hand and laid it over his, holding it gently without letting go. She turned her head and rested her cheek in the crook of his neck, staying there in stillness for a moment. She exhaled slowly, as though releasing feelings she had carried for a very long time. Silence settled over the living room, bathed in warm lamplight, the vast space belonging only to the two of them. Moments later, Lu Tianxian's soft voice barely rose above a murmur. "The bedroom is over there." Li Sun could no longer hold back his surging feelings. He bent down and lifted Lu Tianxian into his arms. Carrying her, he strode across the living room. With a light kick of his foot, the door to the innermost master bedroom swung open. He stepped inside, and the door drifted shut behind them. A soft click echoed through the quiet hallway as the latch engaged. Almost at that exact moment, Yang Mi stepped out of the bathroom wrapped in a damp bath towel. Seeing the empty living room, she wore a knowing little smile. Everything had unfolded just as she had expected. Inside the master bedroom, Li Sun set Lu Tianxian down gently upon the large bed and stood over her, gazing at her. Lu Tianxian grew flustered, unsure what to do with her hands. Her cheeks blushed, and she spoke softly with shyness. "Sun Guyu." Her words were cut short when Li Sun leaned down and kissed her lips. The temperature inside the room climbed steadily. Time slipped by as the two grew closer. Much later, Lu Tianxian drifted off into deep sleep. A thin blanket covered her, leaving only her rounded shoulders exposed. Faint marks lingered across her collarbone. Even asleep, her brows held echoes of the strong emotions they had shared. Morning light seeped through gaps in the curtains when Li Sun opened his eyes. Beside him, Lu Tianxian lay peacefully asleep, her delicate features no longer showing the vulnerability of the night before. Li Sun did not wake her. He climbed out of bed, got dressed, and walked out of the bedroom. He failed to notice that beneath the covers, Lu Tianxian's ears burned bright red. In the living room, Yang Mi and Tang Tang sat at the dining table having breakfast. When Tang Tang saw Li Sun emerge from the bedroom, she called out right away. "Brother, you got up so late. Come eat." "Hey, where is Tianxianjia? Should I go wake her up?" Li Sun's expression stayed calm, without the slightest awkwardness. "Don't disturb her. Tianxian is still resting." "That's right, Tang Tang. Tianxian slept very late last night. Let us wait for her." Yang Mi chimed in, a quiet amusement glinting in her eyes. She had clearly heard every sound from the master bedroom through the night, and thinking about it made her heart race. More than 10 minutes passed before the bedroom door creaked open and Lu Tianxian stepped out. She had changed into a clean white button-up shirt done all the way to the collar, paired with a short denim skirt. Still, she moved with careful, stiff steps that betrayed her discomfort. Tang Tang spotted her immediately and called loudly. "Tianxianjia, you're awake. Come have breakfast." "Indeed. Come and eat now that you are up," Yang Mi said, lifting her eyes toward her with a meaningful smile. Under their gazes, Lu Tianxian's cheeks flushed hot. She answered quietly, "Yes, I'm coming." She sat down at the table and ate in silence, hardly saying a word. Once breakfast was finished, Li Sun stood and opened his arms toward Yang Mi and Tang Tang. "Time for our usual ritual. Come here." Tang Tang, bright, spirited as ever, hurried forward and tilted her head to kiss him. A minute later she pulled back, laughing, and stepped aside. Yang Mi walked forward and shared a gentle kiss with him. When their lips parted, she leaned close to his ear, her voice tinged with faint jealousy. "Hey, son, do not grow fond of someone new and forget those who were with you first." "Ahem," Li Sun coughed lightly. "I would never do that." With that, he brought up his system panel. Name, Li Sun. Strength, 70 speed, 60 mental power, 60 level, 5 talent. Hextech SSS, grade unique talent description, the darling of the League of Legends arena. Hextech 5-2-3 selection. You are the chosen one of a kind. You have one selection available today. Activate Hextech. Activate selection. 1. Peachwood sword deadly against ghosts and spirits. 2. Indestructible tires. Never worry about tire damage again. 3. 1 crate of bottled water. 4. 1 set of fine clothing. 5. 1 box of calming pills for situations where you wish to avoid conceiving children. Li Sun read through the options twice. He was certain he wanted option 1 and 2. What exactly did option 5 mean? Shaking the thought away, he selected 1, 2, and 5. Bright white light flashed, and 3 items materialized on the table. The 3 women gathered around to look curiously. Li Sun moved fast, closing his hand around the last item and concealing it in his palm. Tang Tang examined the first 2 items and was reasonably satisfied, yet her eyes kept drifting to his closed fist. Full of curiosity, she asked, "Brother, why won't you let us see what you are holding?" Yang Mi and Lu Tianxian also looked at him, equally curious. "Tang Tang, you cannot see this one just yet. I will show you later," Li Sun said, sending a silent pleading look toward the other 2 women for help. Though confused, Yang Mi backed him up. "If A. Sun says not to look for now, Tang Tang, we should wait." "That is right. Sun Ge must have his reasons," Lu Tianxian added softly. Tang Tang thought for a moment and nodded obediently. "All right, I will wait. I will head over to the RV and wait for everyone." She hopped out of the room. As soon as Tang Tang left, Yang Mi pressed for answers. "Hey, Sun, what is that object you hide from Tang Tang?" Lu Tianxian watched his hand, her curiosity playing. Li Sun gave a helpless smile and slowly opened his palm to show them. "See for yourselves." They leaned in to look. The instant they made out what lay in his hand, both their faces burned bright red. "Why would the reward be something like this?" Lu Tianxian murmured, utterly embarrassed. Yang Mi's cheeks flushed, yet she turned toward Lu Tianxian and teased gently. "I think it is perfectly well timed. Why, do you hope to bear A. Sun's child already?" "I most certainly do not," Lu Tianxian blurted out, flustered. Li Sun joined in the light teasing. "Oh, so Tianxian has no wish to have my child. It seems I have allowed myself to hope too much. That is not what I meant. It is not that I do not want to. It is simply that now is not the right time." Lu Tianxian stopped mid-sentence when she noticed Li Sun and Yang Mi watching her with amused grins. She realized they were joking at her expense. "You two are ganging up to tease me. I am going to join Tang Tang by the RV." She covered her burning cheeks with both hands and hurried out of the room. Li Sun and Yang Mi were left alone. They glanced at each other and burst out laughing. Their laughter echoed through the small service station room for a little while. Yang Mi tucked loose strands of hair behind her ear. The blush lingered on her face even as her smile softened. She gave Li Sun a look that read, "You are truly mischievous." "Hey, Sun, we should go," she said, turning for the door. They must be waiting impatiently. They walked one after another out of the service station building and returned to where their RV was parked. Tang Tang had already climbed into the passenger seat and leaned her chair back a little, her legs propped lightly on the dashboard. Her nurse uniform skirt spread across the seat. Lu Tianxian stood beside the vehicle, faint pink still lingering on her cheeks, though she had regained her composure. She pulled open a door and climbed into the back row. Li Sun sat in the driver's seat and fastened his safety belt. He glanced in the rear view mirror. The white buildings of the service station stood sharp in the morning sunlight. Several other vehicles in the compound were starting up. Survivors slammed car doors and strapped luggage onto roof racks. Different groups bustled about, exchanging few words yet avoiding open conflict. The short rest period was over. It was time for everyone to move on. Li Sun ignited the RV's engine. Rumble. The heavy motor roared to life, shaking the ground faintly beneath it. The massive black steel behemoth rumbled forward. Filled with overwhelming weight, it rolled over the broken highway and drove onward. This was their upgraded Level 4 Fortress RV, weighing a full 30 tons. Fitted with the newly granted indestructible tires, it rumbled along with deep, resonant noise. Paired with an infinite range fuel tank and autopilot, its specifications were outstanding. The commotion drew stares from other survivors in the service station. "Wow, look at that huge vehicle, showing off, huh? What kind of monster machine is that? Those tires are half a person tall." Li Sun ignored the murmurs and complaints drifting through the open windows. He pressed harder on the gas, and the giant RV pulled out of the service station, speeding toward the distance. As soon as they left the shelter of the buildings, scorching hot air washed over them from outside. Tang Tang turned on the vehicle's solar-powered air conditioning. Cool air quickly spread through the cabin. "This feels wonderful." Tang Tang sighed happily, enjoying the breeze. Lu Tianxian spoke up in warning. "Tang Tang, do not sit directly in front of the vent, you might catch a chill." Tang Tang waved her hand dismissively. "Don't worry, Tianxianjia. Our physical stats have improved so much, we won't get sick that easily." Lu Tianxian thought it over and decided she was right, so she said no more. Seated in the front passenger seat, Yang Mi turned toward Li Sun and asked softly, "Hey Sun, where do we head next?" Li Sun thought briefly. We follow this highway for now and play it by ear. We will adjust our plans when we run into trouble. Yang Mi nodded and fell silent. The RV cruised smoothly down the highway. Outside the windows, the flat terrain around the service station gave way to wilder countryside. Low rolling hills rose on either side of the road. Potholes and cracks marred the asphalt, but the indestructible tires handled rough ground with barely any jostling. Li Sun leaned back in the driver's seat, scanning the road ahead, one hand resting loosely on the steering wheel. Cool conditioned air kept the sweltering heat locked outside the steel hull. Sitting on the rear sofa, Tang Tang curled her legs up and idled through messages on the world chat channel displayed on her panel. Mijia. Li Sun spoke up, quiet enough for everyone inside to hear. Check the radar. Is there an abnormal signal off to our right front? Yang Mi sat upright and studied the radar screen. On the circular display, a cluster of dense red blips was slowly moving roughly 500 meters ahead. Around 20 to 30 blips clustered together, far denser than scattered individual monsters. At the center of the group, several extra, bright signals glowed nearly twice as large as the rest. A large horde of zombies, Yang Mi analyzed calmly. Roughly 30 total. They are moving slowly. Those larger signals in the middle must be high rank variants. Finally, some action. Everyone hold on tight. Let's go take a look. Li Sun nodded and pressed the gas pedal to pick up speed. The RV crested a gentle slope, opening up their view. Down the hill on the right side of the highway stood a run-down gas station. Half of its metal awning had collapsed, the remaining portion swaying in the wind. Parked in the lot out front were 3 vehicles, a gray pickup truck loaded with supplies, a beat-up white van, and a military green off-road SUV that appeared to be in the best condition. The 3 vehicles were parked in a rough semicircle, tires facing outward. Sheets of scrap metal and luggage stuffed the gaps between them to form makeshift barriers. People hurried about behind their defensive line, moving in panic. Surrounding them surged a horde of more than 20 zombies, repeatedly testing weak points in their barricade. People are trapped over there. Lu Tianxian had walked over to the window and observed the scene. Li Sun did not slow down. He scanned the whole battlefield. Those bright radar signatures sat at the rear of the zombie horde, partially hidden in the shadow of the gas station building. He could now make out their shapes. They were nothing like ordinary zombies. They moved on 4 limbs, twice the size of regular undead, their backs covered in charcoal, gray carapace. Sharp protruding mouthparts dripped dark green corrosive slime. Where each drop hit the ground, thin wispy smoke rose, burning tiny pits into the pavement. Watching through the window, Yang Mi's expression turned grim. Corrosive mutant creatures. Li Sun made no move to stop. He called over his shoulder, Tang Tang and Tianxian, brace yourselves. Mi Jie, activate your mental detection talent and man the heavy cannon. Aim for those corrosive monsters. Understood. The 3 women got into position at once. By then the RV had reached the crest of the slope, with a downhill stretch lying ahead. A faint smile tugged at Li Sun's lips. He slammed his foot onto the accelerator. Vroom. The engine roared with ferocious power, like a slumbering dragon waking with a deafening bellow. Taking advantage of the downward gradient, the black steel juggernaut charged straight toward the zombie horde with devastating momentum. No slowing down, no evasion. Only the most primitive, brutal physical crush. Roar! The horde of zombies was stirred. They had never seen prey charging straight at them like this. Roaring, they swarmed forward, slashing with sharp claws and fangs. Yet all of this was nothing but ants shaking a tree. A succession of sounds resembling watermelons being smashed burst out one after another. Ordinary zombies at the front were the first to be sent flying by the vehicle's front. Closely following came the continuous crisp cracks of breaking bones. Bodies were run over by the wheels, turning into patches of dark red pulp, paving a filthy path. The RV's speed never faltered for even a moment. It drove straight through the zombie horde as if wandering through empty land. There, behind the ruins to the right front, Sister Tianxian. Lu Tianxian's voice rang out. A corrosive monster slowly emerged. Its body was covered in dark brown carapace, with rotting flesh peeling across its surface. A thick stench of acid washed over them. Viscous corrosive liquid dripped constantly from its frame, hitting the rocks of the wasteland and instantly burning tiny pits into the stone. Its 4 limbs moved nimbly as it rushed toward the RV. It suddenly opened its massive maw and spewed a stream of dark green concentrated acid. Hisses. The acid splashed hard across the RV's steel armor, and thick white smoke rose at once. Warning. High intensity corrosive attack detected. External vehicle armor durability reduced by 1%. Is that all you've got? Li Sun let out a cold snort and called out, "Me, eliminate them." Yang Mi said nothing and pulled the trigger. The autocannon boomed with a short, heavy report, accompanied by the low rumble of the ammunition belt feeding rounds. Bullets struck the side carapace of the corrosive stalker precisely. Sparks flared on impact, cracks spreading across the shell, and dark green fluid oozed out from the fissures. It let out a hoarse howl and tried to scuttle sideways to escape, but a burst of follow-up fire was already on its way. This time the rounds hit the side of its head. The carapace split open, dark green bodily fluid splattered across the ground, and its massive body twitched twice before falling still. A second corrosive stalker charged out from the ruins behind the zombie horde, moving faster than the first. It headed straight for the side of the RV. Yang Mi quickly adjusted the cannon's aim. 3 rounds screamed forward and slammed directly into the monster's head, delivering an instant kill. Its bulky frame crashed heavily onto the ground. The battle was far from over. Li Sun piloted the Tier 4 steel behemoth, rampaging through the swarm of monsters. The autocannon on the roof roared non-stop in a continuous barrage. Yang Mi kept firing, blanketing the area with fire, mowing down wave after wave of charging monsters like harvesting wheat. It was nothing short of a massacre against zombies and abominations. 5 minutes later, when Yang Mi blew apart the last struggling corrosive stalker with the autocannon, most of the commotion on the battlefield died down. Zombie and monster corpses lay scattered across the open ground. Dark fluids stained the pale gray earth in mottled patches. The RV sat in the center of the clearing before the gas station, its engine still humming low. The barrel of the roof-mounted autocannon faintly radiated residual heat. "Brother, we eliminated 134 zombies and 4 corrosive monsters. We leveled up straight to level 6. Tang Tang said excitedly. Lu Tianxian added, "Auto loot is active. We've picked up plenty of supplies. We won't need to worry about resources for a long time." Li Sun nodded, but he made no move to leave immediately. His gaze drifted toward the distance. Half a figure cautiously poked out from within a defensive circle formed by 3 vehicles. A middle-aged man squeezed out through the gap of a gray pickup truck's door, clutching an iron rod in his hand. His face held a mix of dazed relief after surviving disaster and lingering terror. He stared at the piles of zombie remains covering the ground, then at the black behemoth parked in the clearing, and finally fixed his eyes on the autocannon mounted on the roof. His feet froze where he stood. The door of the white van creaked open a crack. A young woman peered out, tear tracks still visible on her cheeks. The driver's door of the army, green off, road vehicle swung open. A man in his 30s stepped out, looking slightly calmer than the other 2. He walked forward a short distance and stopped roughly 5 to 6 meters away from the black RV. He raised both hands to his chest to show he carried no weapons. His Adam's apple bobbed, seemingly ready to speak, yet all that escaped was a rough, uncertain voice. "Brother, thank you." Li Sun nodded and was about to start the engine and depart. The man driving the off-road vehicle spoke again, his tone cautious and deferential. "Brother, can the 3 of us travel with you?" The other 2 survivors turned their hopeful gazes firmly toward Li Sun. "Yes. We can endure hardship, we don't eat much, and we can take night watch shifts without complaint. If we can follow you, we are willing to work as laborers and take on any menial task." The 3 of them were sharp enough to see Li Sun possessed overwhelming strength and was the perfect person to rely on. If they could tag along, they would have steady supplies and an extra layer of protection for their lives. They stared at him intently, waiting anxiously for his answer. Li Sun looked calmly at the 3 men and slowly shook his head. "Sorry, I have no intention of building a faction or taking on followers." The moment the words landed, heavy disappointment washed over their faces. Li Sun ignored them, starting the RV and slowly turning it around. He navigated past wreckage and abandoned vehicles in front of the gas station and headed back onto the highway. In the rearview mirror, the 3 vehicles and small human figures shrank steadily, vanishing completely along the endless stretch of road moments later. A quiet hush fell over the cabin. Tang Tang sat on the sofa, twisted open a water bottle, and gulped down several mouthfuls. She casually wiped water from the corner of her mouth with her sleeve and asked in confusion, "Brother, why didn't you take them as subordinates just now?" "There's no need," Li Sun replied evenly. "Human hearts are unpredictable. We can never guarantee they harbor no ulterior motives. Letting wolves into the house would only lead to unnecessary losses." Privately, he thought to himself, that is part of the reason, but 3 men would only get in the way. If I ever take on new companions, only outstanding women are worthy of boarding this RV. Yang Mi rolled her eyes from the passenger seat. She knew exactly what Li Sun was thinking. The night was as dark as ink. Out on the endless highway, the temperature plummeted to -20 degrees Celsius. Bitter cold winds lashed against the vehicle windows like sharp blades, howling shrilly. Outside was frigid darkness, interrupted now and then by drifting zombie roars that sent chills down one's spine. Inside the RV, the scene could not have been more different. Warmth filled every corner. The constant temperature system held steady at 26 degrees. Gentle warm air circulated, carrying a subtle blended fragrance of roses and jasmine that soothed the senses. After a full day of constant fighting and scavenging, their busy schedule came to a pause. Lee Sun activated autopilot. After dinner and a hot shower, he leaned lazily against the sofa to rest. A soft click echoed as the bathroom door slid open slowly. Warm, humid steam billowed out from the bathroom, shrouding the living area in a hazy mist. Lee Sun had been sitting on the sofa browsing messages on the World Channel, but when that figure stepped out, his gaze drifted involuntarily and lingered on her. Fresh out of the bath, Yang Mi radiated captivating charm. She had not changed into modest sleepwear. Instead, she wore a black silk slip dress. The smooth fabric clung fluidly to her graceful figure, shimmering softly under the warm lights. The short hem barely covered the top of her thighs, leaving her long, fair legs exposed. Her skin carried a faint pink flush from the hot water. She stepped barefoot across the long, pile carpet, black nail polish coating her rounded toes. The striking contrast was mesmerizing. Yang Mi slowly dried her damp curly hair with a towel, her posture relaxed and elegant. Sensing Lee Sun's burning gaze, she did not shy away. A faint smile tugged at the corner of her lips, and she tilted her head slightly toward him. "Ah Sun, do I look nice?" To the person she loved, Yang Mi did not hold back from showing off her graceful figure. Around 15 minutes later, Lu Tianxian and Tang Tang stepped out of the bathroom one after another. In contrast to Yang Mi's mature allure, Lu Tianxian looked like an immortal who had descended to the mortal world, while Tang Tang possessed a youthful face paired with a voluptuous figure. Lu Tianxian wore a thin plain nightgown, her damp long hair draped loosely over her shoulders. Her skin was smooth and glowing with a faint rosy tint after bathing. She carried an ethereal, pure aura, like moonlight embodied walking among mortals. A trace of lingering shyness lingered in her every movement, every smile clean and refined. Tang Tang was entirely different. Her young, delicate face radiated innocent vitality, while her figure was surprisingly curvy. Her simple nightgown struggled to contain her prominent curves. The sharp contrast between her youthful face and full frame stood out, and her bright eyes sparkled with childlike liveliness. Warm steam swirled around all three women. Three distinct types of beauty unfolded before Lee Sun's eyes. He sighed inwardly, knowing how fortunate he was. Countless survivors outside were probably huddled inside cold vehicles, shivering under tattered thin blankets. A hot bath was beyond their reach, and they constantly had to watch for zombie attacks, living from one moment to the next with no certainty of tomorrow. Compare that to his group. Constant heating kept the RV warm, the sofas soft and comfortable. Beside him stood three stunning women fresh from their baths. This was hardly a desperate highway survival journey. It was the ultimate luxury fit for an emperor alone. The following morning, sunlight seeped through gaps in the curtains, drawing a thin strip of warm yellow light through the darkness. Lee Sun's consciousness slowly surfaced from deep sleep. He felt a warm weight resting on his chest. The familiar light scent of hair filled his breath. His eyes half opened. He looked down to see Yang Mi's head nestled against his collarbone. Her black long hair spread across the pillow and his chest. She still slept the same way as always. One leg draped over his waist and abdomen, her long pale thigh resting across his stomach, knees slightly bent, toes gently brushing the side of his calf. One strap of her black silk slip dress had slipped down, revealing her smooth shoulder and a small patch of skin just below her collarbone. Her breathing was steady, deep in sleep. One hand rested along his ribs, fingers slightly curled like a cat retracting its claws. Lee Sun stayed still. He watched her for a while. Morning light softened the outline of her sleeping face. He lifted a hand and gently brushed strands of hair away from the pillow beside her. The movement was light, yet she stirred. She wrinkled her nose faintly in the last traces of sleep before slowly opening her eyes, vision still hazy. She lifted her head and met his gaze. She paused, then rolled over to rest her chin on his chest and looked up at him, her voice heavy with drowsiness. "Ah Sun, awake?" "MHM." She did not get up right away. She pulled her leg back from his abdomen, shifted onto her side into a more comfortable position, pressed her cheek against his chest, and listened to his heartbeat for a moment before sitting up slowly. She pulled the fallen strap back into place and tidied her messy hair. Morning light traced the lines of her body as she raised her arm to fix her hair. Every motion was unrushed, relaxed, and unguarded. Li Sun sat up and climbed out of bed. After dressing, he walked out to find the kettle on the kitchen counter already steaming. Lu Tianxian stood at the dining table with her back toward the living room, taking bread out of packaging and placing it onto plates. The ruffled trim of her maid uniform glowed thinly where sunlight touched it. Tang Tang had already emerged from the bedroom, wrapped in an oversized coat and sitting on the sofa. Her hair stuck up messily, still half asleep. When she spotted Li Sun, she mumbled groggily, "Good morning, brother." Yang Mi walked out of the bedroom having changed into her flight attendant uniform. The collar was properly fastened, her skirt neat, and her hair simply tied up. She took a seat at the dining table, no different from any other morning. After sitting down, her gaze briefly swept over Li Sun before settling on her glass of milk. A faint smile tugged at her lips as she took a sip. This morning's milk tasted sweeter. The four gathered around the table for breakfast. Slightly toasted bread was served alongside portions of unpacked compressed biscuits and glasses of milk. The serving sizes were modest, yet having a warm breakfast while surviving on the highway was already a luxury. Once they finished eating, Tang Tang stacked the empty plates and carried them to the sink. She wiped the table efficiently, then hopped to the center of the living room and tilted her face upward toward Li Sun. Lu Tianxian straightened up from the counter and walked over to stand beside Tang Tang, watching him calmly. Yang Mi drained the last of her milk, set down her glass, and stepped forward to face him. Li Sun knew what they wanted, their usual morning ritual. He kissed Tang Tian, Lu Tianxian, then Yang Mi one by one. When the last kiss ended, Yang Mi stepped back half a pace, glanced at him, and gestured that it was time to check his reward. Li Sun opened his status panel. Name: Li Sun. Strength: 78 speed, 65 mental power, 65 level, 6.2 talent. Hextech unique SSS rank. Talent description: Beloved of the Rift. Choose 3 out of 5 Hextech options. You are the chosen one, unparalleled. One selection available today. Activate Hextech selection. Activate selection. Daily Hextech selection initiated. 1 projector 2, 4, Peace Travel Tableware Set 3, 3 pairs of spare socks 4, 1 sun hat 5, 1 Time Secret Realm Locator. Displays the nearest secret realm entrance within the current region. The first 4 options were everyday supplies and ordinary goods. Li Sun's gaze skimmed quickly past them and settled on the 5th choice, the secret realm locator. He confirmed his selection. 1, 2, 5, ding. 3 items materialized out of thin air on the dining table. The 3 women gathered around, looking somewhat disappointed. They held little interest in the first 2 items. The third object was a round metal disc the size of a coin, hovering above the status panel. Li Sun reached out and caught it. The metal felt cool against his palm. Fine circular patterns etched its surface, glowing faintly pale white. He flipped it over. Tiny text appeared along the edge. Upon activation, the nearest secret realm entrance in this region will be highlighted on the map for 3 hours. He clutched the disc, but did not activate it immediately, tucking it into his pocket instead. He glanced at the 3 women, who had also seen the options and his choice. A secret realm? Curiosity shone in Tang Tang's eyes as she asked quickly, "Brother, are we heading into the secret realm today?" Yang Mi's expression turned calm as she analyzed slowly. The system warned that secret realms house undead, apparitions, vampires, werewolves, and other strange monsters. Charging in blindly would be risky. She did not finish her sentence, yet everyone understood the hidden dangers. A quiet hush fell over the cabin. Li Sun cleared his throat to break the silence. "We will travel to the coordinates to scout first and identify what kind of secret realm it is. If it is filled with ghosts and apparitions, our Peachwood sword will serve as the perfect countermeasure." Tang Tang replied at once. "Then we'll follow, brother, and go take a look." Yang Mi and Lu Tianxian exchanged a glance and nodded in agreement. Li Sun activated the locator. Ding. Secret realm coordinates: 5857, 1857. Secret realm name: Fengmin Village. May contain large numbers of apparitions. Danger level: moderate. Fengmin Village. Li Sun uttered the name quietly, his tone deepening involuntarily. Tang Tang blinked, afraid she had misheard. Is it the legendary so-called number 1 ghost village of Longhua, Fengmin Village? That is the one. A brief silence descended over the cabin. Sunlight streamed through the windows, glinting off the tableware on the dining table, yet that single name hung over the cabin like an inescapable dark cloud, as if the warmth in the air had faded. Lu Tianxian paled slightly, fingers tightening gently around her skirt. She lowered her voice. I've heard the rumors about this place. The village is perpetually shrouded in eerie fog. Countless people who venture inside vanish without a trace. Even the few who escape suffer confusion, as if a piece of their soul has been stolen. Yang Mi said nothing. She pulled up the map and studied it carefully before looking back at Li Sun. We only possess one Peachwood sword. Fengmen Village secret realm is fraught with unknown dangers. A single spirit, repelling artifact may not be enough to handle every threat. Li Sun leaned back against the sofa, eyes fixed on the metal disc on the table. The faint glow on its surface had dimmed, yet the pale purple coordinate marker on the map continued to flash. The system countdown showed 2 hours and 47 minutes remaining before the coordinates expired. He stayed silent for a long time, then walked over to the window and stared out at the desolate highway. If we enter Fengmen Village with our current equipment, the risk is far too high. Li Sun finally spoke, his voice steady and resolute. We only have one Peachwood sword, with no other specialized weapons against apparitions. If multiple types of monsters dwell inside, we might not even make it back out. Tang Tang opened her mouth to speak, but after looking at Yang Mi and Lu Tianxian's expressions, she swallowed her words. Still, we cannot let the coordinate go to waste. Li Sun turned around and looked at the three women, a calculated edge to his tone. Every day on the World Channel, countless survivors beg for secret realm coordinates. Many are willing to trade large quantities of supplies for reliable entrance locations. Yang Mi raised an eyebrow, immediately grasping his plan. Ah Sun, you intend to trade the secret realm coordinates. Li Sun nodded gently. Fair exchange. You provide resources, I supply the coordinates. Both sides act voluntarily, there is nothing unfair about it. Sun Gu, please do not sell the information to fellow Longhua survivors. Lu Tianxian voiced her thought. Li Sun looked toward her and nodded slowly. Survivors from our homeland have more or less heard the terrifying tales of Fengmen Village. Outsiders, however, know nothing of its horrors. They only see the words secret realm, assuming it is similar to all the others. Enter, seize treasure, and leave safely. That means they will be far more willing to offer generous supplies in exchange. Yang Mi picked up, a faint smile rising on her lips. Precisely. Li Sun nodded and laid out his true reasoning. There is another reason. I do not wish for our countrymen to rush blindly to their deaths, testing the dangers ahead. If someone must step into this deadly place to explore first, let those outsiders who know nothing of the risks go ahead. After he finished speaking, silence lingered in the cabin for several seconds. Tang Tang tilted her head and thought it over, then nodded. I understand. Should we post the message on the World Channel now? Post it. Li Sun opened his system panel and entered the World Channel. He paused briefly to organize his wording. Longhua, Li Sun, I possess coordinates for a secret realm. Name, Fengmen Village. Survivors interested in acquiring the location, send private messages for supply negotiations. Trades with Longhua survivors will not be accepted. Once the message was sent, he leaned back in his seat and waited. Nothing happened for the first few seconds. Then the World Channel stirred like a lake disturbed by a thrown stone, commotion spreading wave after wave. Dragon Nation Liu? Fengmen Village? Dude, are you joking? Dragon Nation, Chun Shi, brotherly son, have you found the entrance to that secret realm? I don't recommend going in. That place is genuinely eerie. Sakura Nation, Yamamoto Iku. You Dragon Nation people are cowards. Watch us men from the Sakura Nation. I'll go see what all the fuss is about. United States, will Trump. What is Fengmen Village? Sounds like the name of a village. I'll trade 50 bullets for the coordinates. Joseon Nation, Kim J-Yeo, I want in too. I'll offer a crate of compressed biscuits. India, Rahar, I'll trade a military dagger. Just give me the location. Dragon Nation, Li Weigua, brotherly son, honorable move. Honorable move. Respect. +1. Li Sun stared at the flood of +1 messages scrolling across the global chat channel, then met the eyes of the three women beside him. The four shared a knowing smile. Tricking foreigners and earning praise from his fellow countrymen was incredibly satisfying. Private message alerts began chiming nonstop. Li Sun glanced down and saw the private message icon in the corner of his panel lit up with notifications, the number rapidly climbing. Messages poured in from survivors of India, the Sakura Nation, the United States, Joseon Nation, and several European countries. Some sent direct offers, others asked if they could trade weapons for coordinates, and a few opened with a greeting before writing lengthy messages listing the supplies they were willing to exchange. Li Sun looked toward the three women beside him. Lots of private messages. Sort them out. We will only trade with foreign survivors. Yang Mi leaned closer to the screen and tapped open one message. Will Trump from the United States. He's offering 50 bullets plus 2 crates of military rations. Tang Tang squeezed forward, resting her head on Li Sun's shoulder as she looked at the screen and pouted. This survivor from Joseon Nation is only offering a crate of compressed biscuits and a dagger. His offer is far too poor. Lu Tianxian stepped half a pace forward, her gaze landing on another private message as she spoke softly. Yamamoto Ichiro from the Sakura Nation. He's willing to give 2 crates of gasoline and 1 crate of canned food. Accept all of them. Li Sun did not hesitate. He confirmed each trade one after another and sent out the coordinates of Fengmin Village. In just 10 minutes, over 1,000 trades were completed. He accepted every supply offered by foreign survivors, regardless of quality. Massive quantities of supplies flooded into his spatial storage room, filling 1/10 of the available space. This storage area relied on spatial folding technology, spanning an area the size of a football field. Sun Gu, you're quite cunning. Once they step into the secret realm, they'll surely hate us. Lu Tianxian stood nearby with a gentle smile. Tang Tang quickly objected. Sister Tianxian, we can't be blamed. They chased the secret realm's opportunities out of greed. We merely provided coordinates, right, Sister Mi? That's exactly right. Yang Mi nodded with a smile. Li Sun chuckled and pulled out a selection of goods from the storage room. Let's fill our stomachs first, then wait quietly for news from the secret realm. A soft flash of light appeared, and the coffee table was instantly covered with abundant ingredients. Fresh snowflake beef, seasoned lamb chops, assorted fresh vegetable platters, 2 hot pot broth bases, plus a large bucket of iced cola. Wow! Tang Tang's eyes lit up. She hurried forward and hugged the bucket of iced cola, cheering. Brother, you still have fresh meat and cola stored in the space. It all comes from how many trades we just finished. Li Sun reached out and ruffled Tang Tang's hair. Lu Tianxian immediately got busy, carrying a portable gas stove from the kitchen to the folding dining table in the living area and setting up a double flavor hot pot. One side held rich, spicy red broth, while the other simmered mellow, clear soup. The savory aroma of meat mixed with spicy broth quickly filled the entire RV. Yang Mi stood up from the passenger seat and walked over to sit beside Li Sun. Everyone dig in. Li Sun picked up his chopsticks. Tang Tang acted without restraint. She dropped a large portion of snowflake beef into the spicy broth. After a quick boil, she dipped the meat in garlic sesame sauce and took a bite. It's hot, but absolutely amazing. She huffed repeatedly from the spice and quickly took a big gulp of iced cola. Lu Tianxian ate neatly, preferring vegetables boiled in the clear soup. From time to time, she placed slices of cooked meat into Li Sun's bowl. Yang Mi focused on the tender beef, enjoying every bite, and picked up a piece to hold out toward Li Sun. Li Sun opened his mouth and ate the meat, breathing out in contentment. Outside the RV, temperatures neared 40 degrees Celsius. Countless survivors struggled across muddy wasteland, fighting desperately for a single drop of water. Inside the vehicle, the scene was entirely different. Cool air drifted from the air conditioner as the 4 gathered around the steaming hot pot. The stark contrast brought immense comfort, easing the tension that had weighed on them for days. After the hot pot meal, they quickly cleaned up the messy table. Constant cool air circulation blocked the scorching heat from outside. Once the feast was over, Li Sun leaned against the sofa holding a projector he had obtained that day. The device stored a classic romance film. Come sit here. Li Sun patted the empty spot beside him and smiled. Let's watch a movie. News from the secret realm should arrive soon. Yang Mi walked over calmly and sat down on Li Sun's right. A pleasant rose fragrance drifted from her. She sat with relaxed posture. A faint blush rose on Lu Tianxian's cheeks as she took a seat on Li Sun's left. A light jasmine scent lingered around her. Tang Tang simply plopped down on the floor in front of the sofa, filled with anticipation. The cabin grew quiet and warm, only filled with the movie's dialogue and their soft breathing. Li Sun savored this rare moment of peace, yet he did not allow himself to grow complacent. When the end credits rolled and the projector beam dimmed, warm cabin lights illuminated the space once more. Li Sun did not turn off the device right away. He leaned against the sofa and waited until the closing piano melody faded completely before shutting it down. Then he opened the global chat channel. Messages were scrolling far faster than before. He slid across the screen, constantly spotting words such as Fengmin Village, Secret Realm, and Scam amid the flood of text. The channel overflowed with wails and grievances from survivors. Each new message confirmed what Li Sun and the others had predicted. The Fengmin Village Secret Realm was fraught with danger. Almost no one who rushed inside had returned alive. United States, will Trump Shit. The place is blanketed in fog. I'd barely walked 100 meters when I heard footsteps all around, yet I couldn't see a thing. When I fled, one of my teammates was gone. He was right behind me, then stopped responding entirely. Sakura Nation, Yamamoto Iku Nani. There are no supplies inside Fomin Village, only fog. I heard a woman laughing, but there was no one nearby. I ran out. I'm never going back. Josian Nation, Kim J. Yeo. Can anyone tell me what those creatures are? I saw a white figure standing by the wall. I thought it was another survivor, but it vanished when I walked closer. Then my flashlight died and wouldn't turn back on. India, Rahar. Good heavens. An old man waved at me after I entered. I thought he was another survivor and followed him. He led me to a run, down house, and disappeared. When I pushed open the door, the room was empty. The door slammed shut behind me. Beneath these messages were replies from countless Dragon Nation accounts, all sharing a similar tone. Dragon Nation. Yehey. Haha, you went into Fomin Village? That's a famous haunted village in Dragon Nation. You're brave for daring to step foot inside. Dragon Nation. Shinshi. I warned everyone not to go in earlier. Still, Brother Lee Sun certainly has a bold way of doing business. Dragon Nation. 1-1. He clearly marked it as an eerie, type secret realm. Don't blame anyone but yourselves for giving in to greed. Dragon Nation. Zhu Xiaoping. We get to watch an international farce for free. Today's entertainment is sordid. Dragon Nation. Li Yu. You from the Sakura Nation heard a woman laughing? That's normal. There are plenty of old buildings there. I suggest finding somewhere to hide until dawn, though I suspect dawn never comes inside Fomin Village. Huh? United States. Well, Trump. People of Dragon Nation. You knew all along. Why didn't you stop me? I lost my teammate. Dragon Nation. Shi Huang. Why would we stop you? The subject line of Brother Lee Sun's private messages stated, no offers from Dragon Nation citizens accepted. We couldn't even buy coordinates ourselves. You all rushed to make deals. Dragon Nation. Chen Shi. Observed the spectacle politely, everyone. Lee Sun could not help smiling when he saw that last line. He closed the global chat and put away his panel, then stood up and stretched. The three women also rose from the sofa and floor. Tang Tang yawned, wiping the moisture from the corners of her eyes as she looked up at him. Brother, are we setting off now? Yes. Lee Sun walked to the driver's seat and disengaged autopilot to take control. We've rested enough. Time to hit the road. Follow the highway ahead to search for monster groups suitable for leveling up, and keep an eye out for the next secret realm in trance. The RV pulled smoothly away and traveled along the highway. Afternoon sunlight gilded the wasteland, with occasional glints reflecting off the road surface. Tang Tang shook off her drowsiness and regained her energy. She adjusted her nurse uniform, keeping her giant hammer within easy reach. Lu Tianxian and Yang Mi also got ready. They drove for roughly 2 hours. The flat open terrain alongside the road gradually gave way to low rolling hills. The mountains were not tall, but the undulating landscape split the highway into winding curves, alternately blocking and opening up their line of sight. Lee Sun slowed slightly to let the RV navigate the bend steadily. As he rounded a sharp curve, the view suddenly opened up. To the right of the road stretched a gravel slope dotted with massive boulders, forming a natural sheltered area. Hidden in the shadow of one rock rested a golden treasure chest, its surface shimmering softly under the afternoon sun and standing out sharply against the gray stones. Beside the chest stood an enormous monster, larger than any they had encountered at the quarry. Its back was covered in hard, scale, like carapace with a dull iron, gray hue under the sunlight. It lay beside the treasure chest in a relaxed posture, yet its size and appearance filled anyone who saw it with instinctive unease. On the radar, its signal burned far brighter than the surrounding blips, like a concentrated ball of light. A system notification popped up. Monster, Armored Rock Beast level, 10 strength, 100 speed, 50 threat level, low. There's the treasure chest. Tang Tang spotted it. She stood up from the sofa and walked to the door, fixing her gaze on the monster beside the chest. A monster is guarding it. Yang Mi finished her spiritual detection at the same time and analyzed calmly. Level 10 monster. It moves slowly, but its defense is likely formidable. We do not yet know its attack patterns. Given its large frame, it probably has area of effect attacks. I'll take it down. Wait, Tang Tang, you shouldn't rush. Lee Sun's words of caution came too late. Tang Tang pulled open the RV door and leaped outside without hesitation. Lee Sun shook his head helplessly and issued an order. Sister Mi, head to the rooftop weapon station to cover Tang Tang. Yang Mi nodded and quickly climbed to the weapon control area. Outside, Tang Tang landed on gravel, her nurse shoes crunching across loose stones. She advanced without pause. The uneven slope was covered in rubble. She moved steadily and swiftly, adjusting her grip on the giant hammer as she closed in, calculating the combat distance. The armored rock beast had sensed her presence. It rose slowly from its prone position, towering over 2 meters tall. For thick limbs gripped the stony ground. It lifted its shell-covered head, revealing small, dark eyes. Li Sun noticed it did not roar a warning. It remained silent, like a predator waiting for its prey to step into range. Tang Tang charged forward, crushing loose rock beneath her feet. She swung the hammer in an arc toward the beast's front limb joint. Though massive, the monster reacted quickly, raising its limb to block. The hammer struck the carapace with a dull thud, leaving a faint mark without breaking through. Tang Tang did not retreat. Her second swing followed immediately, aimed lower at the side of the supporting limb joint. The blow landed harder, producing a sharp crack. A thin fissure split the carapace, and the armored rock beast swayed to one side. The monster finally attacked. It snapped its head toward Tang Tang, letting out a low roar resembling grinding stone. Tang Tang dodged sideways. The head strike swept past her. Instead of using the dodge to create distance, she stepped forward half a pace. The hammer swept upward, striking a seam in the armor beneath its neck. The shell joined less tightly there, exposing a narrow strip of softer tissue. Force traveled through the crack. The armored rock beast let out a louder roar, staggering and losing coordination in its 4 limbs for a moment. Tang Tang refused to give it time to recover. Her third hammer blow landed on the same seam, widening the split as dark fluid seeped out. The beast swayed violently and tried to shuffle sideways, but the damaged joint on its left foreleg weakened its footing and slowed its movement. Tang Tang closed in and delivered one final accurate strike to the broken seam. The carapace shattered completely. Dark liquid poured from the wound, and the armored rock beast crashed heavily onto the gravel, motionless after a single heavy impact. Tang Tang stood beside the creature's corpse, planting her hammer firmly on the ground. Her chest rose and fell as she caught her breath, warm afternoon wind carrying away her exhalations. She was unharmed. Fine dust coated her uniform and stockings. Li Sun and the other 2 women climbed down from the RV. Lu Tianxian looked concerned and spoke gently. Tang Tang, don't rush into danger like this again, understand? He's right, Li Sun added. We could have used the RV's heavy weapons to deal with this monster. Tang Tang nodded obediently. I'll remember. Next time I'll follow everyone's plan. Let's check what's inside the treasure chest first. With that, she leaned forward and lifted the lid. As the chest opened, golden light surged upward. When the radiance faded, a neatly folded silver card lay on the bottom. Its surface was smooth as metal foil, with small text printed along the edge. Yang Mi knelt down, picked up the card, and read aloud. Vehicle Spatial Module. Constant temperature hot spring. Can be installed in a designated area of a vehicle. Supports constant temperature heating and circulating running water. Occupies approximately 4 square meters. Installation does not consume extra space. Compatible with all vehicle models listed. Li Sun stepped beside Yang Mi and looked down. The silver card glinted softly in the sunlight. Tang Tang knelt beside the chest, her battle focus fading into genuine delight. She glanced back at the RV before returning her gaze to the card and looked up at Li Sun excitedly. Brother, with this, we can have a hot spring inside the RV. Lu Tianxian and Yang Mi also wore obvious smiles of joy. Li Sun took the card. The instant his fingers touched its smooth surface, a system prompt appeared. Install facility? He looked at the 3 women beside him, met their expectant gazes, and confirmed. The card glowed faintly then vanished. Brother, let's go check it out quickly. Tang Tang could barely contain her excitement and hurried toward the RV. Li Sun, Yang Mi, and Lu Tianxian followed closely. Once inside, Li Sun noticed a curved doorway silently emerging where a plain wall had stood at the rear of the RV. Warm, damp mist drifted out from the opening. He walked over and pushed the door open. A hot spring pool spanning roughly 10 square meters lay within. The clear water steamed gently, bordered by light gray anti-slip stone slabs. A small stone ledge sat beside the pool. Warmth radiated from the rising vapor. Wow, the temperature is perfect. It feels amazing. Tang Tang knelt by the pool edge and dipped her hand into the water. She looked up at Li Sun. Brother, I want to soak in the hot spring now. Since you wanna, we can all relax properly today. I'll switch the RV to autopilot first. Li Sun's tone was warm. Wonderful. Sister Tianxian, let's go change. Tang Tang grabbed both women's hands and tugged Yang Mi and Lu Tianxian toward the upper level in high spirits. Li Sun shook his head helplessly as he watched the three women's retreating figures, silently thinking to himself. It was only a hot spring soak. Was there any need to get so excited? He then walked toward the driver's cabin. He activated autonomous driving, confirmed the vehicle maintained a steady speed of 70 kilometers per hour, then carefully checked fuel levels, road conditions, and all monitoring parameters. Once he verified everything was normal, he let go of the steering wheel, stood up, and headed toward the rear cabin. He arrived at the hot spring area. The door was left slightly ajar, not fully closed. Thin warm light and wispy steam drifted out through the crack. Li Sun raised a hand and pushed the door open. Scalding, damp white mist washed over him, carrying the faint mineral scent of the hot spring. He looked inside, and his gaze halted amid the hazy fog. At that moment, Li Sun silently acknowledged he had made a wise decision earlier. A hot spring soak was wonderful, simply perfect. Through the swirling mist, the three women stood with their backs to him beside the hot spring pool. Yang Mi stood on the left in a black strappy swimsuit. The simple garment accentuated her graceful figure. She had slender waist, and her long, well-proportioned legs glowed softly under the moisture. Every movement carried mature, charming elegance. She twisted sideways to gather her loose hair to one side, letting the steam moisten the strands evenly. The movement highlighted the gentle curve of her back beneath the warm light. When she straightened up, she seemed to sense Li Sun's gaze behind her. She glanced over, her peach blossom eyes meeting his. A smile tugged at the corner of her lips, yet she said nothing. She bent forward once more with her back toward him, slowly adjusting her posture beside the pool. The sight made Li Sun standing in the doorway pause for a moment. He let out a quiet, bitter laugh to himself. He could hardly be blamed. After all, the person he had admired for so long stood right there before him. Anyone would struggle to stay composed. Lu Tianxian stood in the middle, wearing a plain white swimsuit. An air of quiet grace blended harmoniously with her graceful figure. She had a slender, well-proportioned frame and elegant lines along her shoulders and neck. The pale outfit made her skin look even fairer. With her delicate features and lithe form, she carried a striking, ethereal beauty softened by a hint of shyness. She stood at the pool edge, bending down to test the water temperature with her toes, moving lightly and quietly. She sensed something, straightened, and looked back. Their eyes met through the steam, and a blush rose quickly to her cheeks before she hastily looked away. Tang Tang stood on the right. She was the first to enter the water, already sitting on the pool steps with her legs submerged. Gently kicking and sending ripples spreading across the surface, she wore a light pink swimsuit. She had a youthful, lively face paired with a well-shaped figure. Her rounded long legs moved freely as she shifted her position, radiating bright, innocent vitality. Tang Tang exhaled slowly, leaned back and slid deeper into the water until it reached her shoulders. She closed her eyes comfortably, then turned her head and spotted him by the door. She lifted her damp hand and waved. "Brother, what are you doing standing there? Come down and join us in the hot spring." Yang Mi slowly straightened, stepped onto the stone steps and sank into the warm spring water. Lu Tianxian followed closely behind her into the pool. Li Sun closed the door behind him. He took 5 seconds to take off his outerwear, leaving only his swim shorts, then walked toward the pool and jumped in. Splash! Water sprayed in all directions, drawing playful complaints from the 3 women. The gentle spring water wrapped around his body, instantly chasing away the exhaustion built up over days and leaving him feeling thoroughly relaxed. Beside him were 3 outstanding women, each with her own unique charm. Outside lay the wilderness highway survival zone. High temperatures, terrifying monsters, and endless dangers loomed constantly. Countless survivors fought on the brink of death, willing to kill one another for a sip of fresh water or a piece of dry rations. Yet here he was, inside a temperature-controlled motorhome with a private hot spring and pleasant company. All anxiety and tension melted away in this moment. For others, highway survival meant endless struggle to stay alive. For him, it felt more like a journey with his companions. His thoughts gradually settled. Enveloped by the warm spring water, Li Sun's eyelids grew heavy, and he drifted off in his sleep before long. 7 o'clock in the morning. When Li Sun woke, sunlight streaming through the roof hatch was bright and clear, no longer the dull gray glow of early dawn. He opened his eyes and saw the ceiling, realizing he was lying on the second-floor bedroom bed. A thin blanket covered him. His trousers were still on, and his jacket was neatly folded on the nightstand. Memories slowly returned. The hot spring had been so warm the previous night that he had drifted off leaning against the pool wall. He could not recall anything afterward. The others must have helped him back to the room. He sat up and stretched his shoulders and neck. The hot spring had worked wonders. His muscles felt far less tense than in previous days, and even his stiff knuckles, strained from gripping the steering wheel, moved smoothly again. He put on his jacket and walked out of the bedroom. Sounds drifted up from downstairs. Is brother awake? Breakfast is ready. Tang Tang's energetic voice carried up from the kitchen, crisp and clear inside the enclosed cabin. Li Sun descended the stairs. The three women were already seated around the dining table. Yang Mi leaned against the edge of the sofa, holding a cup of warm water. She had changed into a burgundy satin slip nightgown. The smooth, lightweight fabric shimmered softly under the gentle lighting. Thin straps rested on her shoulders, highlighting the elegant curve of her neck. The skirt reached mid-thigh with a hidden side slit. She looked up at him with a faint smile in her eyes. She did not mention him falling asleep in the hot spring the night before, yet the slight curve of her mouth said everything. Tang Tang sat cross-legged on her chair in a light-colored skirt. She crumbled a piece of ration biscuit and stirred it into her milk. When she saw him, she grinned and called out, "Brother, you slept soundly in the pool last night. Mi Jia and I called you 3 times, but you wouldn't wake up. In the end, Tianxian Jia helped carry you upstairs. I didn't know you were that strong, Tianxian Jia." Lu Tianxian sat across the table. Her movement holding her bowl paused slightly. She kept her head down and did not reply, but her earlobes turned bright red. She wore a clean-off, white dress, and the ends of her hair still looked slightly damp, as if she had washed herself early that morning. Li Sun took the empty seat. Lu Tianxian pushed a bowl of congee toward him and set it gently on the table without speaking. Yang Mi sat down as well and slid a small plate of pickles and 2 slices of dry bread beside him. "Did you sleep well last night?" Yang Mi asked casually, though her gaze held quiet amusement. "I made the bed for you, and Tianxian covered you with the blanket." "Thank you." Li Sun picked up the congee bowl and took a mouthful. The warm rice slid down his throat, far tastier than dry ration biscuits. Tang Tang bit her spoon and tilted her head toward him, suddenly speaking up. "Oh right, brother. You were talking in your sleep when you dozed off in the hot spring last night." Li Sun froze, his chopsticks halting mid-air. "What did I say?" Tang Tang smirked and slowly repeated. "You said, Mi Jia, Tianxian, both of you come over." She never finished her sentence. Yang Mi and Lu Tianxian moved at the same time to stop her. One covered Tang Tang's mouth with her hand, while the other gently pinched the soft flesh at her waist and whispered a warning. "Stop making things up and eat properly." Li Sun nearly choked on his congee. Even without hearing the rest, he could guess the general meaning. He was surprised by how unrestrained his subconscious thoughts had been. He subtly glanced upward and noticed that though Yang Mi and Lu Tianxian's faces were flushed, neither spoke to deny it. An idea quietly formed in his mind. Perhaps he could try to bring it up sometime. Yes, it was worth a try. He lowered his head and continued eating, unable to stop a faint smile from spreading across his lips. Breakfast concluded amid relaxed conversation. Tang Tang stacked the empty bowls and carried them to the sink. Lu Tianxian carefully wiped down the dining table. Yang Mi tidied up the scattered cups and plates. Daylight fully flooded the sky. Morning sunlight poured in through the vehicle windows and ventilation gaps, casting long golden streaks across the wooden cabin floor. Li Sun stood up, opened his arms toward them, starting their daily routine. The 3 women stepped forward one after another as usual. Tang Tang went first, followed by Lu Tianxian and Yang Mi last. Each shared a quiet, warm moment with him for at least 3 minutes. Once the moment passed, all 3 looked toward Li Sun, signaling him to check the daily refreshed reward. Li Sun opened his system panel. Name: Li Sun. Strength: 80 speed, 67 mental power, 65 level, 6.4 talent. Hextech SSS unique. 1 selection available today. Activate Hextech selection. Activate selection. Daily Hextech selection open 1. 1 crate of ration biscuits 2. 1 crate of mineral water 3. 10 rolls of toilet paper 4. Vehicle upgrade blueprint. 5. Infinite ammo close. In weapon system compatible with vehicle roof weapon mount. Sustained suppressive fire. No ammunition resupply required. Options 1, 2, and 3 were daily supplies and not urgently needed under current conditions. Option 4 was a core item to upgrade the motorhome directly. Option 5 represented a qualitative upgrade to the weapon system. The motorhome's existing autocannon was enough to handle most ground threats, but the close-in weapon system served as interception defense, able to neutralize dangers before they drew near. Li Sun's gaze lingered on the 5th option. He barely hesitated, tapping options 1, 4, and 5 in sequence. Ding! A crate of ration biscuits and 2 blueprints materialized on the living room table. The 3 women immediately gathered around. Another vehicle upgrade blueprint. The light flickered across Liu Tianxian's face. Our motorhome can be upgraded once more. Tianxian, take a look at the other blueprint. This is the real treasure. Yang Mi pointed toward the infinite ammo close in weapon system blueprint and analyzed calmly. From now on, even if we stop the motorhome and rest, zombies and monsters trying to launch surprise attacks will first have to break through this defensive line. Li Sun slowly nodded, agreeing with Yang Mi's judgment. Compared with the upgrade blueprint, this close-in weapon system was the most valuable reward this time. Without hesitation, Li Sun tapped the infinite ammo close-in weapon system blueprint. The blueprint glowed faintly and broke apart into tiny blue light particles, resembling disassembled component schematics. They flowed along his fingers toward the roof. Moments later, the light merged into the metal frame. A soft mechanical clicking sound echoed from above, shorter and crisper than the noise when the autocannon was installed. The noise faded within seconds, and the cabin fell silent again. It's finished already? Tang Tang craned her neck to stare at the ceiling. It should be. I'll go check the roof. Li Sun stood, walked beneath the roof hatch, pulled it open, and climbed up the ladder. Morning wind rushed to meet him, carrying the dry scent of the wilderness. He crouched at the edge of the roof and looked at the newly installed close-in weapon system. Its barrel was more compact and shorter than the original autocannon, yet its overall structure looked far sturdier. A small rotating base and auto-aim module were fitted beneath the gun mount. Thin sensor strips ran along both sides of the barrel, glinting with dull cold metal. It could pivot within a wide angle automatically, with no manual control required. He knelt beside the weapon and tapped the panel on the side of the mount. Brief system specifications appeared on the surface. Close-in weapon system base parameters: rate of fire, approximately 600 rounds per minute, effective range, 120 meters interception, /200 meters suppression, ammunition supply. System, generated, infinite mode, manual/auto, tracking. Auto, tracking radius, 120 meters, centered on the vehicle, interception priority. Fast approaching targets, large targets, small targets. Am I basically unassailable now? That single thought crossed Li Sun's mind as he stared at the weapon. A simulation preview appeared on the panel, showing a top-down view of the motorhome with a white arrow rotating rapidly around the vehicle body. Whenever simulated threats neared the edge of the defense zone, the arrow swiveled instantly to lock onto the target with high tracking precision. Auto, tracking mode. Li Sun read the description. He had only operated manual machinery during his construction work in the past. This fully automatic defensive system still felt surreal. Brother, how does it look? Tang Tang's voice rose from below the hatch, filled with eager curiosity. It's fully featured. Auto, tracking mode available, no manual operation needed, and the firing rate is extremely high. Li Sun leaned over the hatch edge and glanced down at the women. Sun. Yang Mi's voice came from the co-pilot seat. The radar has picked up a signal, roughly 200 meters away. The marker indicates a monster. Interest flashed in Li Sun's eyes. Perfect timing. Let's test the power of this close-in weapon system. He skipped manual operation, switching the weapon from manual to auto, tracking mode. He slightly adjusted the default interception range, extending it from 120 meters to 150 meters. The panel displayed auto, tracking activated. The sensor strips on the gun mount lit faintly, and the barrel pointed forward without locking onto any specific target. The motorhome continued cruising forward at constant speed. The monster drew closer, its outline growing clearer. It shared features with creatures they had encountered before. Gray coarse fur covering its four-legged frame, a hunched back. It was the same baboon-like monster they had faced previously. It had spotted the motorhome and sprinted toward the highway, its limbs pumping faster and faster. Distance closed to 150 meters. The close-in weapon system stirred. Without human input, the barrel rotated smoothly toward the monster and locked on. The gun barrel steadied, aiming at the rapidly advancing gray figure to the front left. Distance closed to 100 meters. The close-in weapon system let out a short, sustained roar. Its sound was denser and more concentrated than the autocannon. A continuous stream of bullets poured forth at extreme speed, faint glowing trails marking the trajectories in the air. Bullets first struck the ground 2 meters ahead of the monster, sending dirt flying. A second burst followed immediately, shifting the impact zone forward by roughly 1 meter. The third barrage landed directly across the baboon monster's path. The beast tried to dodge sideways, yet it could not outpace the weapon's tracking adjustments. A volley struck its torso head-on. The impact threw it off balance. It stumbled and attempted to regain momentum, but the next salvo hammered its flank. Under continuous hits, its coordinated movement devolved into chaotic thrashing. Its speed steadily dropped. It halted roughly 50 meters from the motorhome and slowly collapsed onto the ground, falling motionless amid a cloud of dust. The close-in weapon system's barrel automatically rotated back to its standby position. The glow on the sensor strips faded. The entire process, from lock on to takedown, took roughly 10 seconds. The roof fell quiet again, only wilderness wind brushing against the metal barrel. Incredible. Pure firepower. Lee Sun watched the full engagement sequence from the roof edge, then stood up, closed the hatch, and climbed back into the cabin. The three women inside had witnessed everything, undisguised joy on their faces. As soon as Lee Sun climbed down, Tang Tang spoke first, eyes wide with admiration. Brother, this close-in weapon system is overwhelmingly powerful. Lu Tianxian nodded gently and said softly, we can breathe easier now. When we stop to rest at night, we won't need constant vigilance against sudden monster ambushes. Soon, we still have the vehicle upgrade blueprint. Let's use it now as well, Yang Mi suggested. All right. He picked up the blueprint and confirmed activation. Commence upgrade. The blueprint transformed into deep golden streamers that instantly merged into the massive motorhome frame. A cacophony of screeching metal, interlocking gears, and humming circuits erupted like an industrial symphony. The vehicle body visibly stretched and expanded outward. The already enormous hull grew even larger. Layer upon layer of pitch black armor unfolded, plates meshing precisely like dragon scales. The roof slowly rose, and the rear cabin expanded outward on both sides. The original two-story structure upgraded directly to 3 levels. 5 minutes passed in an instant. The golden light faded away. A towering black steel behemoth rested upon the highway, cold, lethal metallic sheen covering its surface. The vehicle stood 10 meters tall and 20 meters long, like a mobile steel fortress blocking the road. A new notification popped up on Lee Sun's panel. Vehicle upgrade complete. Vehicle, Steel Fortress Motorhome rank, level 5 maximum speed, 100 kilometers per hour fuel supply, infinity. Defense, top, grade steel plating resists physical attacks below level 20 plus explosion. Proof windows resists moderate impact magic resistance. 5 Congratulations, your motorhome can now defend against level 1 paranormal attack status. Excellent. Functions, living room, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, medium-sized storage room, roof anti-ambush support frame, wet and dry separated washroom, upgraded zone lighting system, basic weapon interfaces new addition. 3rd floor defense platform operate cannons safely without exposing yourself on the roof. Lee Sun glanced at the magic resistance stat and nodded. They finally possessed some protection against paranormal threats. Brother, there's a new staircase. Tang Tang spotted the new steps. She ran up 2 treads, then turned back. There's a whole new level up here. Lee Sun followed her upward. The 3rd floor was more spacious than expected. It was not a cramped attic, but a high platform fitted with observation windows. Long, narrow ventilation windows lined both walls. Sunlight streamed in, illuminating the whole space brightly. The central area of the platform was completely flat, ringed by low metal barriers forming a natural defensive position. Pre-installed connection ports and control stations for the autocannons and close-in weapon system were already in place. Operators could stand here to control the weapons without climbing onto the exposed roof. The front side of the 3rd floor offered an outstanding vantage point, overlooking the highway and wilderness ahead, with a wider field of vision than the driver's seat. Tang Tang walked to the edge of the platform, resting her hands on the barrier and looking outward. Morning wind swept her hair and the hem of her skirt. She gazed along the highway for a moment before calling down. Mi Jia, Tianxian Jia, come up and see. The view up here is amazing. Yang Mi and Lu Tianxian climbed up as well. Yang Mi stood in the center of the platform, surveying the new space before walking over beside Tang Tang to follow her line of sight. Lu Tianxian stayed near the entrance at first. She examined the wall, mounted interfaces and control stations before slowly walking toward the windows. Golden sunlight washed over the 3rd floor platform, its warm glow reflecting off the pavement and gilding the outline of every person standing there with a bright luminous fringe. Lee Sun walked over and stood in the center of the platform. Facing the view beyond the barrier, he watched the highway stretch far into the morning light, cracks and scattered gravel on the road's surface sharp and distant beneath the sun. Wind swept past the edge of the barrier, carrying the scent of the wilderness and the faint aroma of hot metal baked by sunlight. All right, let's head down. Lee Sun turned toward the staircase. We'll go check if there have been any new changes inside the vehicle. Suddenly, The system's voice echoed inside Li Sun's mind. Ding, congratulations, Li Sun of Dragon Country. You are the first survivor to upgrade your vehicle to level 5. You have earned one vehicle trait as a reward. Indestructible, your vehicle will never suffer wear and tear, permanently maintaining its peak condition. Disclose this information publicly? No, Li Sun made the selection without the slightest hesitation. He would never be foolish enough to reveal such valuable information to the world. He relayed the system notification to the three women, focusing on the indestructible trait. Silence settled over the cabin for 2 or 3 seconds. Tang Tang was the first to recover, letting out an exclamation, her voice rising involuntarily. Permanently kept at peak condition? Does that mean our motorhome can never be damaged? No fear of collisions, rust, or even. That's right. Li Sun smiled. That is exactly what the system states. No maintenance required, no parts replacement needed. No matter how long we drive or how many battles we endure, performance will never drop by even a fraction. With this trait, the motorhome would remain in the perfect state it reached after its latest upgrade forever. It could travel tens of thousands of kilometers, withstand countless monster assaults, and traverse all manner of treacherous terrain, yet its hull would stay as good as new. On the third floor of the motorhome, the four people exchanged glances and broke into smiles at the same time. With this steel fortress under their command, they could move almost unhindered across these wilderness highways. As Li Sun's heart surged with excitement, Yang Mi spoke up beside him. Let's not get carried away just yet. We should head downstairs. Understood. The group left the third floor, and the motorhome set off once more, speeding smoothly along the broken, muddy highway. Leaning back in the driver's seat, Li Sun glanced at the temperature reading on the vehicle display. 45 degrees Celsius. Ugh, this terrible weather leaves survivors no chance at all. Tang Tang slouched on the sofa, clutching a can of iced cola. If we didn't have air conditioning inside, we would have been roasted by the heat long ago. Ever since the new rules took effect, the survivor elimination rate has skyrocketed. Seated in the passenger seat, Yang Mi flipped through the regional map, sliding her fingertips across the virtual light screen as she spoke in a grave tone. Many survivors on Highway 444 rushed into secret realms and encountered paranormal monsters immune to firearms. The data on the World Channel paints an even clearer picture. More people have perished from dehydration and heat stroke than from monster attacks. We've reached the junction. Li Sun gripped the steering wheel and turned off autopilot. The motorhome climbed a gentle slope, laying the landscape below fully in view. It was an extraordinarily wide crossroads, where 4 highways converged into one, with a massive road sign standing beside the roadside. The moment the motorhome entered the junction, Ding, congratulations on leaving the initial highway. 100 vehicles have now exited the initial highway. First phase mission issued. Travel to the secret realm, Raccoon City. Mission objective. All survivors who have left the initial highway must arrive at the coordinates of secret realm, Raccoon City coordinates. 345.8, 911.1 within 72 hours and survive within the city for a minimum of 24 hours. Mission rewards 1. A foundational cultivation technique from your nation, a practice method revered by the people of your country. 2. 1 vehicle upgrade blueprint. 3. 1 dose of the zombie virus antidote. Reminder, after 72 hours, any survivors who fail to reach Raccoon City will receive a red name mark. They will face unending assaults from monsters, zombies, beasts, paranormal entities, vampires, and more for the following day. As soon as the system announcement appeared, the entire World Channel erupted in chaos. Dragon Country, Liu. Thank goodness I haven't driven out of the initial highway yet. Dragon Country, 1-1. The guy above. Risk and opportunity go hand in hand. Have you not seen the rewards? An actual cultivation technique. United States, Wells, Raccoon City? This is sending us to our deaths. I wish I hadn't rushed out of the initial highway so quickly. Republic of Korea, Kim J-il. Is this highway survival game trying to herd all of us into a single location? Japan, Yamamoto Ichiku. I'm not going. I'd rather lie low right here. Dragon Country, Wang Tung. What an idiot the person above is. Didn't you read the part about the red name mark? Anyone who's already left the initial highway and refuses to go is doomed. Inside the motorhome, Lu Yantian stared at the scarlet countdown on the screen, her face paling slightly. Her grip tightened around her milk carton, nearly letting it slip from her grasp. Raccoon City. She took a deep breath, lifted her eyes to look at Li Sun, her voice tinged with unease. Sun Gu should we? Compared to Lu Yantian's nervousness, Li Sun remained calm and unruffled. He pulled up the motorhome's positioning system and entered Raccoon City's coordinates. 9,100 kilometers away. At the motorhome's maximum speed, accounting for rest stops overnight, we can arrive in roughly 2 days. Everyone hold on tight. Li Sun firmly grasped the steering wheel, shifted gears, and pressed down on the accelerator, speeding toward their destination. Rumble. The Level 5 steel, armored motorhome let out a low roar, like an awakened steel beast, charging straight toward the horizon. Behind them, Tang Tang gently comforted Lu Yintian. Don't worry, Sister Yintian. With our motorhome, venturing into Raccoon City won't be a problem. From the passenger seat, Yang Mi chimed in, her eyes shining with anticipation. Exactly. What's more, if we survive 1 full day, we receive a cultivation technique from our nation. It might even be a cultivation method for immortality practice. If that's true, we absolutely have to make this trip. At that exact same moment, across every corner of the globe, all top-tier factions that had exited the initial highway sprang into action upon seeing the notice. Dragon Country, Dragon Team Convoy. Team leader Li Weiguo was a burly military man with a square jaw. Standing atop one vehicle, he issued a stern order. Everyone, advance at full speed. Target, Raccoon City. Yes, team leader. Roughly 100 people responded from below. Republic of Korea, Girl Group Convoy. Leader Lim Yuna was a stunning woman in a strappy long dress, wine, red curls cascading over her shoulders. Her slanted eyes held natural charm, grace evident in every gesture. She sat atop the hood of a modified red Ferrari supercar, legs crossed, swirling wine gently in a stemmed glass. Sisters, this mission is our chance to prove our strength. We must not lose to those men. Japan, Imperial Convoy. Group leader Watanabe Ikki was a short man with an unpleasant look. Seated inside a compact steel vehicle converted from an ordinary sedan, he wore a lewd grin. Raccoon City? It shall be the backyard of Japan. Anyone who dares compete with the Imperial Convoy for resources will be dealt with severely. United States, God's Convoy. The convoy leader was an ordinary-looking middle-aged man with short blonde hair. Inside a towering 3-story modified fortress vehicle, he spoke slowly and thoughtfully. Everyone, this is the first cross-regional mission issued by the Highway Survival game, and the reward is a cultivation technique. This could very well be our chance to ascend to godhood. Rewards this great inevitably come with extreme danger. Still, fortune favors the bold. If everyone follows orders strictly, I guarantee I will lead us all safely into the new map. Starting now, spare no effort to gather firearms, and prioritize purchasing special items imbued with strange powers. India, Brahmin Convoy. In the rear compartment of a menacing modified tank, a muscular young man scanned his companions, speaking with fervor. Brothers, countless opportunities await us ahead. Our moment of glory is about to arrive. For lone survivors, the Raccoon City mission spelled disaster. But for these elite guilds from every nation, it represented a grand opportunity. Top independent survivors would all converge in one place, the perfect chance to recruit talented individuals or defeat rivals. Sand and dust swirled through the air. 3 hours had passed since the Raccoon City mission was announced. The number of vehicles traveling toward the destination on the highway was visibly growing. Most survivors traveled in small groups, and many had formed large convoys of more than a dozen vehicles. Solitary vehicles were few and far between. Everyone understood clearly how dangerous Raccoon City was. Unless an individual possessed overwhelming strength, grouping up was the best way to stay alive once inside the city. A calm, relaxed atmosphere filled Li Sun's motorhome. The 4 of them had no need to seek alliances with outsiders. If fortune favored them over these 2 days of travel, the motorhome might receive another upgrade. Once promoted to Level 6 Steel Fortress, paired with the vehicle's infinite ammunition close-in weapon system, surviving the 1-day mission in Raccoon City would be well within their grasp. Just then, Yang Mi in the passenger seat turned her head, glancing first at Lu Yintian, then subtly shifting her gaze toward Tang Tang, who was casually eating fruit. Her lips moved soundlessly, communicating through shared eye contact. Lu Yintian instantly understood her meaning and nodded in agreement. Both women knew full well that Li Sun's unique talent shared prosperity was their greatest advantage. To safely complete this high-risk mission and steadily grow stronger, Tang Tang was the most suitable partner for the time being.